Perfect. So once it goes live.
Cool.
All right, it should be going live right now. Yeah, it's going live. All right, and we are off and running. Oh, that's not what I want. I want to go to the actual video. Go to the video. Why are you not at the video? Okay, there it is. Copy, all copy, and then tweeters. Got it. And that should be it. Boom. All right.
Hey, I see us. Hey, yep.
All right, let's see if I can this muted. Dismiss. Muted. Okay, good. And then StreamYard's going. All right, so that's there. A couple seconds here. Let's get this going. And then
watching the Sox game so far, Johnny Cueto looking very Luis Tiant-esque in the first inning.
Shenanigans. All right, let's go White Sox. Oop, there's only one X. Cubs. Maverick. That's a good hashtag for now. We'll go Top the Gun. Black Keys. Doctor Strange. Just because that's the last one that you get. All right. Oh, and tweet. All righty. Trade Yumper now. Yeah, trade Willie now. You're right. Actually, don't kidding. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and get
Max value. Do it. Max value.
Don't wait until it turns into that Schwarber thing where they wait until it's too late and then he has no value, and then they cut him and then he has value again. All right,
Brian.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
It's time for The Tainted Glove, starring your favorite man of questionable character, Aloha Mr. Hand.
Hey, bud, let's party.
And the Holy Reverend K-Fitz himself. It's go time, so grab a beer, grab a bite, and settle in. It's time for The Tainted Glove.
Aloha, and welcome to Season 2 of The Tainted Glove. That's right. This is Season 2, Episode 1, on this fine, lovely May 16th, 2022. I'm your co-host, Aloha Mr. Hand. With me, as always, is my partner in crime, my friend, my compadre, the goose to my maverick, the Reverend K-Fitz. And with that, it's Season 2, so we hope to piss off twice as many people. With that, K-Fitz, take it away.
I thought you were going to call me like a guru or something. I said you're going guru. I'm like, go on. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. It is Season 2 of The Tainted Glove. And it is we are full steam ahead. We got the Cubs playing tonight, the White Sox playing tonight. Plenty of stuff to talk about. We've got special segment brought to us by Antique Taco and Evil Dies Tonight and Kanto. So we've got really 3 major sponsors for now. But we're excited to be back. It's good to be back with you, Pete, again. Again, last week you were at the game,
yes.
Out there being a good fan, and so
and an angry fan too, with the way that game went down.
And an angry fan at that, and which is pretty prevalent right now. I think a lot of people are feeling a little bit of the stress and strain of what's going on with the baseball season. We are ready to hit the dog days of summer. We were only 1 degree from triple digits here in Vegas today. So we've gone directly from a taste of spring to face melt mode in the span of basically 3 weeks. So goodbye spring for me. It's time to now walk around as if I'm opening up the Ark of the Covenant every morning when I step outside and looking into the opening so that it melts my face. Every time I set off, it's a hot hair dryer in your face already this morning. So, but we're going to get to it. So today we have some really good stuff to talk about. We're obviously going to talk about the White Sox. When you're looking at the season, we've got the White Sox. We're going to talk a little bit about the struggles. It seems like the White Sox are kind of stuck in mediocrity and they can't break free of it just yet. But there are moments where it looks like they're breaking out. They just played arguably the hottest team in baseball with the New York Yankees, And that you kind of got to see how far they need to go before they're really, can talk about being a top tier right now, and that's good. That's good for them too as well. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about a little bit. We had a little debate today online too about Michael Kopech, and it was yesterday or it was Sunday a warning sign, a red flag. Is there something wrong? Andrew Vaughn bat ninth today. We'll talk a little bit about that. I guess rationale, that one kind of set off some people today. Bullpens with exhaustion. We'll talk about a special promo that's coming up with the Tainted Glove Network with our boys Jumper and Swow. And then we'll jump down to Cubs. We'll talk about the recent hot series win. Cubs won 2 series in a row. Frank Swindell starting to heat up. Patrick Wisdom. We'll talk a little bit about the two of those guys on separate parts of the spectrum. And, of course, the hottest baseball player on the Chicago Cubs roster right now, Wilson Contreras. Trade, extend, or bang. So anyway, and then we'll talk some Bears stuff, Bears draft, the Justin Fields rumors, and then some schedule predictions. Talk some Doctor Strange and movies, and then talk a little bit of music with the Black Keys album and some other cool events and music that's coming up here on the way. So as we get right to it, Pete, I know that we always jump out with the White Sox first, and so they got back above 500 for a second. And then they took on the Yankees, and all the goodwill of the 6-game winning streak turned back into doom and gloom, and the whole world is falling apart, and the sky is falling, and Chicken Little is running around dancing with his cowbell. And well, what are your thoughts? And I guess start right now with the White Sox, the state of the Sox, and then we'll just go from there. Where do you see the Sox right now? What is the state of the Chicago White Sox?
Okay, folks. To a couple comments in there, Brian asked if this is the season where Pete jumps the shark. That may happen right now.
Whoa. Did somebody say shark? Sorry.
That may happen right now. The state of the White Sox. Everybody, there are certain cliques. I can't think of a better way to describe it than cliques. There are certain cliques of White Sox fans who love La Russa. There are certain cliques who hate La Russa. There are certain cliques who want the White Sox to lose so that they could be fucking right about their opinion. Sorry, they're not real Sox fans. Yes, you can question some of the decisions that have been made. Lord knows I have. If you don't believe me, go back and look at my history. There's a lot of things I question. And everybody seems to be lining up against La Russa. And you know what? You can question some of his decisions, some of his bullpen usage. Absolutely. But at the same time, when you start questioning his lineups, ask yourself this. Why is he putting that lineup out there? He can only use what he's been given. That's it. There is no magical elixir on this roster to fix fucking right field. Right field's been a black fucking hole for over 10 years. That's not on La Russa. That's on Rick Hahn. Second base is a black fucking hole. Again, that's not on La Russa. That's on Rick Hahn. So if you want to go after La Russa, absolutely. But also go after the architect of this team, because there's been a black hole in right field for over a fucking decade. They haven't had a true right fielder. Yes, you could say Jermaine Dye had a couple good years, but since Maglio Ordonez, it's been patchwork, patchwork, patchwork. And again, this is an incomplete team. It has been an incomplete team. You're seeing these flaws because, again, the front office doesn't get this simple concept. You know that Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, Tim Anderson, Yohan Moncada will at least one time during the season be on the IL. At least once. And again, we've already seen Moncada on the IL for the first month. Eloy's still on the IL. Robert didn't go on the IL, but how many days did he miss in a row? Okay? So don't sit there and blame this entirely on La Russa, because he can only use the roster he's been given. So there's La Russa, there is Rick Hahn too. Spread the blame out accordingly. Also, people are complaining the Sox don't spend money. Well, you know what? They spent $190 million on this roster. There's a difference between not spending money and spending it stupidly. And that's, again, what has happened here. Don't sit there and say, oh, they don't spend money. No, they don't spend money smart. They spend it dumb. You know why they spend it dumb? Because they go after the PTP, past their prime player. You know why? Because he'll be a little bit cheaper. Well, that you get what you pay for in most cases. And why did you need to sign both Graveman and Joe Kelly? Wouldn't some of that money have looked really nice for a player in right field? Wouldn't some of that money looked really nice for a player at second base? Again, you went with the PTP player in Josh Harrison. Josh Harrison was a great player in 2014. So, again, you can blame La Russa for some tactical decisions. Everyone does. And, there are some tactical decisions, like some of his bullpen usage last week, that, okay, you have an absolutely valid point. But at the same time, don't let the time. Did you lose me for a second?
I did. You're a little frozen right now, but you look intense.
Oh, I am. But don't let the Teflon Rick Hahn get off easy. Because I'll be honest with you, if this team does not make the playoffs this year, I would even go a step further. If they do make the playoffs and don't advance, they need to clean fucking house. And I mean clean house. And I'm not talking Tony and the coaching staff. I'm talking Kenny. I'm talking Rick Hahn as well. I mean from top to bottom. Mm-hmm. When Tony came in, I thought it was a good move. The reason I thought it was a good move, because this team had a culture of losing. Accepted people. They did. And I thought, well, maybe bring in La Russa in, a guy who's won World Series, a guy who's guided franchises to World Series victories, who's had sustained success with franchises, may be the right answer. But there's a little caveat that comes with that. Either you get the roided up Warriors of the late 80s, early 90s Oakland A's, or you get the farm system of the St. Louis Cardinals. You have neither. So your success is only going to go so far. Second place doesn't fucking cut it. Making the playoffs doesn't fucking cut it. It's time to win. Quit jerking around. And you saw it on full display that a team committed to winning, a.k.a. the New York Yankees, versus a team that, hopefully things will break our way. This is why I keep talking about hoping for luck instead of making luck. I thought last year the Kimbrel trade was them making their luck. I was ecstatic about it. But again, this offseason, they go into the hope for luck thing. You know that meme that they have all the time? White Sox strategy, just stay healthy. That's it. That's them hoping for fucking luck. Hope in
one hand, shit in the other, and see which one feels up.
Exactly. And further, I'm guaranteeing this right now. You're going to see a great case of Sox math in this coming offseason, because there is a perfect answer for right field who will be a free agent. And he fits the White Sox model, because with the White Sox, they would sacrifice some talent for the player to draft a player, who you would be happy to have your daughter bring home. Well, guess what? The guy who fits both categories, talent and the guy you would want your daughter to bring home, is going to be a free agent this year. And you're going to see another case of Sox math. And when I say Sox math, what do I mean? $250 million guaranteed is greater than $300 million guaranteed. You're going to see that happen again. And his name is Aaron Judge. You just watch. It's going to happen again. They're going to pursue Judge, and then they're going to fail spectacularly, just like the Manny Machado thing, because they're going to think they're smarter than what they fucking are, and they're going to fucking flame out in a blaze of fucking misery and glory at the same fucking time. So they could sit there and say, we had a seat at the table. Well, you know what? At some point, get up from the fucking kids' table and go to the goddamn adult table.
Absolutely. And so, obviously the frustration seems to be there with the. I like the idea that you said. The idea of if they don't make the playoffs, everyone needs to go.
Yes.
If they you do a second place, it doesn't cut it. I honestly, second place, if you make the playoffs and you make a playoff run, I don't give two shits if you finish second or first. Just win the postseason. But that usually doesn't mean if you're finishing second in that division, you're probably not going to win postseason games.
Right. If you finish second in the division, you're not going to the postseason.
So I would like to interrupt to point out that everybody's bitching and moaning today about Andrew Vaughn being in the 9-hole has just resulted in an Andrew Vaughn sacrifice fly in the 9-hole to give the Chicago White Sox their first lead of the ball game. Hey, weird. That old guy had some sort of thought about that, and guess what just happened? He produced. Sorry. That was a big discussion today online, and so let's talk real quick about this. Tony La Russa, if those of you are wondering what I'm talking about, Tony La Russa today, in his third game back, Andrew Vaughn, who has been hitting really well for the White Sox, but he is 1 for 8 in his first 2 games back off the IL. Tony La Russa put him in the 9-hole today, the second leadoff. Now it's very it's a little bit different because usually you want a speedy guy in that hole, but Sox fans today freaked out. Everybody calling La Russa a moron. Right now, everybody that called Tony La Russa a moron should shove their own head as far up their butt as possible and stay there, because that's where you actually should stay. And that's where you're living right now, because the fact is it worked. Okay? So it might not matter to you, or it might not fall under your version of conventional.
Right.
But there's a reason why the dude's a Hall of Fame and why you're sitting at home working your job in insurance sales, okay? He's a real major league manager, and he's a Hall of Famer. He knew what he was doing today. And already, the White Sox have a 1-0 lead because Andrew Vaughn, right person, right spot, right time. Boom. And you go.
Yeah, and I need to add something else. There, like I said, there's a clique of fans who, no matter what, La Russa can do 99 things right and one thing wrong. And all you're going to hear about, the kooky old man, oh my God, look at, he's spoiling games, he's doing this, he's doing that. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. If you hate the team that much, don't fucking follow it. It's that simple. If it's more about your ego being right than about cheering on the team you supposedly are a fan of, then you know what? Go fucking someplace else. I'm all for fan how you want to fan, but at the same time, don't sit here and tell me that this is dumb, that is dumb, that is dumb, when you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Plain and simple. I read someone who wanted to trade for fucking Jose Quintana. Have you watched the guy pitch? Honestly, I've watched him pitch. There's a reason there's a thing called the Quintana. You know what the Quintana is? When you get up 0-2 and the guy winds up walking down to first base because you threw 4 straight fucking balls because you're being too goddamn cute trying to paint the corners instead of attacking the goddamn hitter.
Yep. And he's pitching for the Pirates in low-leverage situations. They're not seeing everybody's best lineup.
Yes.
The fucking Pirates.
And the thing is, people need to realize, too, Jose Quintana was pitching for the White Sox in low-leverage situation because those teams were dog shit.
Yep.
And why in the world Theo made that trade with the components that were in it, I still don't understand that. How could he be a baseball genius and make that trade?
I think I'm going to piss off a lot of people. I just posted something.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, I said Andrew Vaughn on the 9 hole immediately pays off with a sac fly to score angle. Almost feels like a few people who know better than Tony La Russa just ate a large spoonful of crow.
But again, and it goes back, and I'll say this too, and I hate to harp on this. For those who think all the problems are La Russa related, they are not. As I've said, there are things you can question Tony about, just like there are things you can question every single manager in baseball history about. I'm sure there were fans who questioned Casey Stengel and what he did with the New York Yankees, even though they won 8 pennants in 10 years and 5 World Series or 6 World Series, whatever it may be. I'm sure there were people who questioned Casey Stengel. And again, you can question La Russa about strategy, that's fine. But he can only strategize with the roster he's been giving. This, in my opinion, is not a championship roster. And further, again, right field, you had the guy in your sights. He was there for you. Your white whale, and for those who don't get it, it is a reference to Moby Dick. Read the book. It's a classic. Your white whale, a left-handed power bat right fielder, was available at the same time as Manny Machado. The same time. First, you went after the wrong guy because Machado wasn't really a fit for the roster you were putting together. Yes, Fo, it is good. Manny Machado was not a fit for the roster you were putting together. And partially, you did not understand what Tim Anderson was about to become. And frankly, I think part of it might have been motivation for Tim Anderson to become what he became because of the Machado pursuit.
Because if you remember, he has seemed to have stopped working on his defense in this offseason.
Yes, that he did. And that he did. And that's a fair assessment. But Bryce Harper was there for you. He checked every fucking box you needed. the left-handed bat. He can hit for power. He plays right field. How many jerseys and tickets would you have sold in the first 24 hours? You want to know? Go look at what happened with the Phillies in the first 24 hours after they signed Bryce Harper. You probably have the same effect. But again, Satan was his agent. You can't talk to Satan, you know? So, oh my God, Satan's his agent. We can't deal with him.
Oh, no.
No, not Satan. But again, this roster, in my opinion, is incomplete. And Brian, yes, Cease was quote unquote damaged goods at that time. It seemed to have worked out pretty well. And the other guy, we might say, the other guy they got in that trade, he may actually be the damaged goods because it seems like he's damaged every year.
Pollock, you talking about?
No. Eloy.
Oh, Eloy. Sorry. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know why he keeps getting hurt is because White Sox fans are cursing him by constantly beating that dead horse of,
thanks, Cubs.
We won the trade.
Thanks, Cubs.
Hey, stop bringing bad juju on Eloy. That's my boy, too.
But do you know why? Do you know why Sox fans do that? The real reason Sox fans do that? Because we had to listen all those fucking years when Sammy was roided up to the gills. Oh, the Sox won that trade. Oh, the Cubs won that trade. The Cubs won that trade. Had to listen to it for years. The guy was cheating. And I've said this before. Sammy Sosa's a cheater, is a confirmed cheater. And they will always say, he was never busted with steroids. That's true, but he was busted with a cork bat. Hence, cheater.
Yumper's coming for you. Don't let you said the SS word. He's coming for you.
Accept it, Yum. He was a cheater. Plain and simple.
So that obviously the lineup stuff and you know with Vaughn, Vaughn on the ninth is paid off already. There's an RBI in there.
Yes.
A big thing that happened on Sunday as well. Sunday and then Thursday, Dylan Cease went out and got his ass lit by the Yankees. The Yankees beat him like a rented mule on Thursday. Throwing hard, missing barrels, getting strikeouts. Not missing barrels, missing bats. Better yet, getting strikeouts.
Yes.
Didn't last but 2 innings, right? Whatever. Got his
3 or 4, I want to say.
Yeah. Got his cap spun though, right? And then you get Kopech. He comes in on Sunday, and Kopech didn't have his best stuff. Kopech actually his velocity was down a mile or a tick or two, and he had a really bad second inning where he couldn't find the strike zone. He walked 4, including he walked in a run and walked in 2 runs, and then another scored on a wild pitch. So they got 1 hit in the inning and scored 3 runs. And he didn't have his best stuff, goes out there and grinds the rest of the way. He went 6 innings, other than that second inning where he was just all over the place. Smoke rings. Yep. Smoke ring. And there was a big debate today on Herb Lawrence on how do we say it? CHGO Sox. Sean Anderson's awesome. Great dude. Sean thinks that this is a problem, that it was lucky as hell. Herb thinks he didn't have his stuff and he went out and grinded and got 6 innings of really good. Other than that bad inning, it was 6 innings of shutout baseball. Any way you look at it. So a lot of good debate there. We started talking about that today, and I jumped in on the debate. Sean was throwing some good numbers at me in a sense, but I think there's a misconception here is that fact that Kopech went out there and Kopech didn't miss bats. Now, people think missing barrels is the same as missing bats. If you're going to miss a bat, you're a strikeout pitcher, but when you're missing barrels, it means that you're not giving up clean contact. You're giving up a ball off the top third of the bat or the bottom third of the bat or the end of the bat or the handle of the bat. You're not getting squared up. And in his start, Dylan Cease gave up, I think, 26.1% barreled up baseballs. Kopech, in his bad game where he got lucky, 6.1% of hitting barrels, meaning only two guys barreled him up at all. One was a fly out and one was a single. He did what he has to do. And I think people, again, this is something that I was grumbling to myself on the way home because I was getting push notice after push notice, and you can't respond because I'm driving 80 on the freeway. And, I'm sitting there just talking to myself too. And I'm like, look, Kopech, people think that these guys these are not video game avatars. And in our society we live in today, a lot of these analytics humpers where they're going to sit there and they're going to hump analytics over anything else and completely ignore all the rest of the human experience as part of this game. Analytics is great for 162. Analytics sucks for the postseason when it's man-on-man baseball. And Kopech went out there, did his job, but these people think like, oh, well, Kopech, you got lucky. His velocity was down 1.8 miles an hour. He didn't throw a ball over 95 today. Well, yeah, guess what, dude? Sometimes people wake up in the morning and they don't have their best stuff. It doesn't mean they're hurt. It could, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're hurt. It also could mean that they got a bad night's sleep. These are human beings. They're not video game avatars where you unplug and plug it back in and they just recharge. And he might be going through, everybody's going, Steve Stone touched on it this morning on 670. This is a little bit earlier dead arm period because the shortened spring. Everybody has dead arm. Chasen Shreve has dead arm right now. Tyler Anderson with the Dodgers has dead arm right now. Paul Sewald with the Seattle Mariners has dead arm. These are just three people that I know, okay? So if that many pitchers that I know that are pitching in Major League Baseball are dealing with that dead arm syndrome right now, it's probably league-wide. Dead arm doesn't mean injury. It just means that you've got to push through. You maybe take a little bit of care, right? You slow guy down a little bit. Maybe you give him an extra day between starts. You do some extra conditioning stuff. You work on bouncing back and all that great stuff and doing some band work and you get some flat grounds in and just getting them back to that. But dead arm is not something that you have to throw through it. It's not something you cower away from. You push through it. It's an obstacle that as long as you're taking care of your pitcher and you're paying attention to their health, it's just part of this. There's going to be another dead arm period in mid-August. Get ready for it, White Sox fans. We're going to be bitching about it in August too. Maybe even early or late June or early August. But there are 2 or 3 moments in the season where all these pitchers hit the dead arm moment. And this is dead arm time. So
it'll come sooner. The second dead arm will come sooner than August for the simple fact of the way spring training was, the way spring training worked and everything else. It's thrown the cycles off.
There might even be an extra dead arm period this season than normal.
That's true
because of that. So you might get another one in early September for all we know. And so it's just there's no such thing as getting lucky throwing 6 smoke screens against the best hitting team in baseball right now. That's not called getting lucky. That's called getting outs. And guess what? If someone said, well, he only threw, he threw 71% fastball. What are you talking about changing speeds? And I almost threw up laughing. It's as if these people think that every single pitch that comes out of their hand is the same exact velocity, the same exact location, the exact same pitch. I can tell you right now, as a pitcher myself, at the college level, I have pitched baseball games where I threw maybe 4 off-speed pitches all game. You know what I did? I changed gears. I took a little bit off of fastball when I knew I had a guy on his front foot. They actually pitched. Kopech pitched, and they had a good plan. If you'll notice, which 2 pitchers in the White Sox rotation had the best success against barrel percentage against the New York Yankees power squad? Kopech and Dallas Keuchel. Why? Yes. Because they are savvy. They were using finesse over balls and guts and velocity. And you see what happens when you try and gut up and nut up. You see what happens with whether it's Stanton or Judge or whoever it didn't work. And I think that might be something that beats the Yankees is you just go a little bit softer to them because they were rolling over. A lot of weak pop-ups, I think 9 weak flyouts. Only one flyout actually was, he had like an average exit velocity of like 91 that he gave up, which is fantastic. Whereas Cease had it was like 98. Like, you get lit. So I don't know. It's an interesting discussion, but people have to understand missing a barrel is not striking someone out. Missing a barrel means not giving up solid barreled up contact. And I think there's such, the analytics crowd gets so beholden to, the exit velocities and did he get an out? Damn it. I care about outs because, in the postseason, no one gives a fuck about your exit velocity or your lost velo. Did you get the side out? Did you progress the inning? Did you move it to the next? And if you're doing that, I don't give 2 shits what your analytics say. You're getting outs. Suck it. That's period. That's it. Get outs. However you can do it. You got to shoot the ball out of your butthole. Shoot it out of your butthole. But get outs. I don't give a fuck what the analytics say if a dude's getting outs.
Let me ask you a question. In theory, how many pitches can you throw in an inning to end an inning?
1. Well, 2, technically, a double play ball. No. Well, 3, a triple play, I guess. Yeah.
3. 3 ground ball outs.
Yeah.
3 ground ball outs.
You're talking about I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question.
Yeah. No, but I mean, you could go through an inning with 3 pitches.
Yep.
One pitch, 1 out.
Pop.
It doesn't take 9 for 3 strikeouts. It takes pitching. Yes, it's called pitching not throwing.
It's called pitching to contact. It's called sharing the baseball.
Hey,
guess what?
Grandal just hit a 2-run dong.
When you have a defense that's struggling, like the White Sox defense is struggling, why not share the baseball and get them more involved? Why don't you the greasy wheel, or what is it? The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yep.
Give those guys more opportunity. All these strikeouts, like what is it, Bull Durham? Strikeouts are fascist. Be more democratic.
Right.
Share the baseball. You know,
Yes.
and maybe the defense will get better. And the defense, I mean, played pretty well when he was sharing the baseball because they're active in the game. If you got a dude striking out 12 guys, it's awesome. But it's just like, I mean, it's so different than walking somebody. Like walking 6 guys, you're hypnotized. It's hard.
And, you know, I have to say this too. Keuchel threw the best game, I would say, against the Yankees.
You might want to say it again.
Keuchel threw the best game against the Yankees.
We got ourselves a little delay. We got a spinning wheel of death on both sides. So I think my internet.
I see you just fine. Can you hear me?
So we're going to give this one a breather for a second and see what happens.
I'm here. Uh-oh. Here comes the spinning wheel of death. Uh-oh. Hello? Guys out in the comments, can you hear either one of us? Because I see Fids is frozen. And so I'm just going to keep talking because I think you can hear me. I see Brian says hi. But we lost Fids. Oh boy, this is going to be fun. So well, you know, is what it is. That damn Fids. But so getting to the point with Keuchel. Keuchel threw the best game of any of the Sox starters. And he's the one who showed how to beat the Yankees. And I was a little frustrated that they didn't take, on Sunday, they did not take a page out of Keuchel's playbook and throw some more off-speed pitches to him. Again, Kopech, with the exception of the second inning or the third inning, whatever inning it was, pitched a very, very good game. He did. I mean, that was the only inning, I believe, that he gave up base runners, let alone a hit or a run. I mean, they had 2 hits for the entire game. Mind you, the second hit was a Joey Gallo, no doubt, it's gone home run. Hey, you're back.
Yeah, I missed all that because, that was weird. Everything crashed at once.
Yeah, what I was saying was Keuchel pitched the best game of the bunch over the weekend, by far.
Mm-hmm.
And Keuchel sort of gave you a playbook that in some ways the White Sox did not follow, and it frustrates me a little bit. The Yankees are the best velocity hitting team in baseball. And it's not even close. They are the best team hitting velocity in baseball. Dallas Keuchel is no longer velocity. He's a junk baller. He's, what's his name? Eddie from the Cleveland Indians in Major League. You know, he's probably got jalapeno shoved up his nose and rubbing it on the ball to get extra break on it. But I sort of wish they would have taken that playbook a little bit more seriously on Sunday because I think that could have helped them somewhat. I mean, with the inning Kopech had, he just got wild, gave up, had the walks, the wild pitch, and everything else. You really can't get around that. But they could have used that in the 9th inning when Gallo hit the 2-run home run after another walk. And that's another thing. Quit fucking walking people. There's 2 things I hate in baseball. Well, several things I hate in baseball. Walks are one. Giving up walks are one. And the other is striking out in the batter's box. And I know a lot of people will say, oh, strikeouts don't matter. Bull fucking shit. Strikeouts do matter. Do you know why they do matter? Because if you put the ball in play, maybe there's an error. Maybe it gets by. Maybe it's a seeing eye single that gets through the hole. If you strike out, guess what? Your ass is walking back to the dugout, and your head should be hanging low. And again, I fucking hate strikeout. I hate the 3 outcome guy. Absolutely hate the 3 outcome guy. I just think that is one of the most ridiculous things in the world. It was a badge of honor when players struck out fewer than 50 times, fewer than 100 times. Now you're getting 275 strikeouts a season for some players. Jesus Christ. And that's considered, and that's like, oh, that's no big deal. What's the difference between putting the ball, hit, it's like the argument with versus walks versus hits. I don't care how you get on base. Get on fucking base. If it's a walk, great. If you have a low walk percentage, but you're hitting 300, and I know the stat heads are going to go, oh, 300, oh, that archaic stat. 300 means 3 out of every 10 at bats, you get a hit. What does getting a walk do?
Moves the line.
Put you on base, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does getting a hit do?
Put you on base.
What's the difference?
Nothing. In fact,
exactly.
My mentor, Coach Witt, one of my favorite lines that he always tells the kids, because again, at the high school level too, some of these kids are being taught these major league swings at the
launch angle type swings.
Yeah, 12, 13, 14. They're not physically able to do that yet, and so these kids look like shit. Like it's easy to call pitches at the high school level. I'll tell you that right now. You give me an average pitcher that can locate, I will get you shutout. I will get you shutout after shutout after shutout after shutout. I'm not kidding when I say that. It's not hard to call pitches against a 3-outcome team. One of my favorite teams to call pitches against, Bishop Gorman. They're routinely ranked in the top 25 in the country. Oddly enough, at Bonanza and pretty much everywhere I've been, actually everywhere I've been, we don't lose to Gorman. Why? Weird. Huh? That's so weird. Oh, it's because 3 outcomes doesn't really work all the time. So you've got these 3 outcomes. But Witt tells these kids when they come in here, look, what's harder to field? What is more difficult to execute on? Fielding a hard hit ground ball or fielding a swing and a miss? Which one's more difficult to field? Which one's difficult to catch? Which one's more difficult to play? It's obvious. When you put a ball in play, you have a better chance of getting on base, period. Yes. Every time. Swing and a miss, especially in situations. We just saw Andrew Vaughn drive in the first run of the game today. Why? He got 2 strikes, shortened up, hit a routine fly ball, tagging up, run scored. The 3-outcome guys are not run producers in that sense. It's a home run, obviously, or nothing. And, a good example of that's Patrick fucking Wisdom. He is on pace to break the major league record for strikeouts in a season. He has a 50% K rating. Okay? The guy will go 1 for 26 he'll hit a homer, a bomber, because he pisses on. When he does hit the baseball, it's a shot. But he doesn't do it but like once every 4 days. And so those types of players you can have those guys on your roster, but you also need the guys that are going to manufacture runs and put the ball in play and find ways to get on besides just the long ball. You can have 6 long ball guys, 3 table setters, if you will, and you pepper them throughout the lineup so that you're not stuck with, in a situation like just now with Angle, a guy at the plate that is a 3-outcome issue in a situation where all you need to do is hit a routine fly ball, or in this case, maybe if they're pulling back the defense because it's early in the ball game, a routine ground ball. Take your runs where you can get it. The White Sox are not putting up tons of runs. So You need guys that are going to take that run when it's there. You can't have guys that are just in that situation last week in the White Sox in that extra inning game. Bottom of the 10th inning, they bunted the runners over to second and third. People were pissed off.
But wait. I want to talk about that specifically because there's one thing people forget in that scenario.
That Larry Garcia's hitting 180 and you don't want that guy to roll into a double play because then they're going to intentionally walk Tim Anderson anyway?
No, the game is tied. The game is tied at that point.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So it's the bottom of the 10th. The game is tied. If you score that run, the game is over. So you have a runner on second, or first and second, with no outs.
First and second, nobody out. And Larry Garcia, a guy's hitting 180, who could routinely roll into a double play ball, which is obviously the concern. And you bunt that guy, and then Tim Anderson comes up, and oh my God, they want Tim Anderson. You have Yoan Moncada and fucking Jose Abreu with guys on the bases loaded and 1 out. If you can't get that run in, which, by the way, this is what happened, is Moncada took swinging out of his fucking shoes instead of just trying to hit a fly ball, and took massive hacks and didn't try and shorten up and get the job done. And he ends up, what did he strike out?
No, he hit a weak grounder that the runner was thrown out at home.
Oh, the runner was thrown at home. Okay, and then Pito comes up, and again, massive home runs. These are guys you don't need to hit a home run in that spot.
Right.
I know it's cool, but just find some damn outfield grass and go home. And they didn't do it. And that's the problem is the two of the best hitters in the White Sox lineup had an opportunity to win a baseball game the right way. And I don't give a shit. Yeah, you do bunt in that situation. Yes, they are going to walk Tim Anderson, who might be your best hitter right there. But guess what? If Moncada and Pito can't get it done in that spot, what the hell are they doing in the lineup? They are 2 of your best players. Those are all-stars. Those are good baseball players. It's the right move. It works 90% of the time. It didn't work there, but my God, the anti-bunt crowd came out like victory laps, and that was 100% outcome bias. The same outcome bias they say that we have, being people that are pro bunts when the bunt works and drives in the run. It's so weird. It's rules for thee, but not for me. And it was the right move. And so that kind of stuff happens. So you need guys that can put the ball in play. You need dudes peppered through the lineup that won't make it one-trick ponies. And, again, guys like Chase and Shreve, when you talk to them, especially late in the ball game, what guys do you like to face and which guys don't you like to face? It was a good example.
Guys that shorten up.
You hate those guys. He doesn't want to face those guys. They're pests. He'd rather face a Javi Baez than maybe a Nick Magical, maybe not a Nick Magical at this point, but like a Tim Anderson, right?
Yeah, Tim Anderson's a great example of shortening up and poking the ball to the opposite field.
Finds a way to get it done. Claw, scratch, hits a bomber on occasion, but he's going to do whatever it damn takes to get on. And you need those guys in your lineup. And so I don't know. That's a big thing with the analytics crowd too, is that they're beholden to their numbers. They don't realize that the human experience is far more than just a bunch of numbers. The numbers are great indicators for 162 games, but when you get into a postseason environment, those numbers mean dick. Nothing. Yep. Zero. Postseason baseball is a whole other beast. And that's where a lot of these teams go wrong, is they roll in, completely reliant on analytics, and then they get up to the team. The Dodgers don't follow the analytics when they get to the postseason. The Astros don't.
They actually did. In 2018 or 2017 and 2018, they did, and they lost.
Yep.
Look at the Oakland A's, the greatest example of all. The Oakland A's had all these analytics and everything else, but the time it came for playoff baseball, they lost. And do you know part of the reason why? Because you're not seeing the seventh man out of the bullpen generally in a playoff game. You're seeing the ace starters, the ace middle relievers, and then the closer.
Mm-hmm.
They're not messing around going, oh, well, I need to rest this guy today, so I have him ready for tomorrow. No, you're getting everybody. It's all hands on deck. And the only way
I'm saying you're facing guys, and you're facing guys that do exactly well against three outcome players, high velocity, a lot of movement, go hard at you. Those are guys that you actually want the back control guys to go up there and be pests for, because those guys hate those pesky little hitters. They don't be little, but you know what I mean? They love facing the big swingers like Joey Gallo. That's great. Bring him on. That guy gets on 23 out of 100 at bats.
Can I address something that Brian says here? And Brian, I'm a little bit older, so bear with me when I say this. People that bitch about walks all grew up huge Frank Thomas fans. And the funny thing about when Frank was in his prime, I remember the arguments. Frank needs to swing the bat more. He needs to drive in more runs. He needs to quit looking at that ball 2 inches outside. He needs to drive it. And again, if you're getting on base, what's the difference if you walk or if you hit?
When you're facing a loaded gun, what's the difference?
Right, exactly. Every plan is great. What is Mike Tyson's line? Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's just the point. It's like, I don't care if a guy walks. I don't care if a guy gets a hit. All I care about is getting men on base, one way or the other. And it's just, again, what's the old saying? Walk's as good as a hit. Remember that saying? I heard it all the time when I was playing Little League. Back in the Stone Ages when we walked 5 miles uphill both ways. But again, it's like now, he's not getting enough walks. He's batting 300 with a 350 OBP. Okay.
That shortstop that hitting 336 for the White Sox has just got another base hit. And what was it? A hard single down to the right side. Look at that. Weird.
Yes.
And that was after Vaughn got up 3-0 in the count, which this is something I didn't think about too. Tim Anderson does offer Vaughn some protection. And it looked like he had a little bit of protection there leading off, but he did chase the ball in the dirt. He got ball four. If he just shows a little bit more, a little bit better judgment on that last swing, he gets ball four, and he's up there, and now it's first and third with Tim Anderson on that single as opposed to, a swing and a miss. But that was actually a good, you like that. You just hate that he swung at a ball in the dirt. That had to be, a slider down.
Yes.
But again, it looks like they went slider, fastball, slider, fastball, slider, slider, slider. That's what they're going to probably test Vaughn with. I mean, that's
Right.
what it is. But, it's good that,
know,
Yupper makes a good point, too, by the way. Cub
Yeah.
fans used to get mad that KB walked. Runs created, runs created. I don't give a shit. Walks and runs are just as scoring runs is just as important as driving in runs. I don't give a shit how it matters, but if you're scoring runs, you're helping your team.
I think it's something Lou Piniella said. And ever since he brought this up, I actually look at this quite a bit. How many doubles are they hitting? Because generally, if you got doubles, you have a good chance of driving people in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I always look at. And
I like turtles.
Yeah. I. But it's Svo, you nailed it. Svo absolutely nailed it with his assessment here. It's like getting laid. Just score. That's it.
Just put it in.
How do you win a baseball game? You score one more run than the other team.
Another great line from another coach that I played for. Coach used to always say, "It takes what it takes."
Yep.
Every single ball game requires something different than the other to win. It could be a sac fly. It could be a 3-run jack. But every single game, it takes what it takes to win the ball game. If it takes Michael Kopech going out there and throwing 6 innings and grinding away, even without his best stuff, then it takes what it takes. If it takes the White Sox putting up 15 runs to protect a bullpen that's struggling or exhausted, it takes what it takes. If it takes a suicide squeeze in the bottom, if it takes a no-hitter and a walk, a sac bunt, a ground ball, and then a wild pitch, and you win 1-0, like the Reds or the Pirates just did. Yes, the other day they got no hit yesterday and won. Yeah. It takes what it takes. It takes what it takes. Every individual game requires something different to get the job done, and that's why you have as diverse a lineup as possible, so that in every circumstance you have guys that are good in each of the moments, not just guys that are good in one specific moment. The Cubs lineup over the last couple of years, they were really good in one situation, but in the other situations, below average. And you can't win ball games if you only are a one-trick pony. If you only win one bit, the long ball. You're not going to win a lot of games if you're not hitting the long ball, especially in this pitching solid era that we live in. So
look at all these Yankee teams the last 5-6 years.
Mm-hmm.
When the World Series started, where were they? They were at home.
Yep. And
other teams, say what you want about Houston. Say what you want about Houston. The Red Sox, they found they had multiple approaches to winning. Mm-hmm. You could say, they had multiple trash cans to winning, but they could at least they had a diversification of their offense.
Yep.
The Yankees really don't.
Nope.
And to me, Keuchel showed a way you can beat the Yankees because they're fastball obsessed. When they get the fastball and they connect, it goes very far.
Mm-hmm.
It goes very far. But they're keyed up for that fastball, man, because they want the ESPN highlight. You throw them off speed and get them off their balance off, putty in your hands. That's what Keuchel proved.
And that's what Kopech did. Kopech took a little bit off to have success. And everyone's worried that he might have dead arm. He might have dead arm. But maybe after what Dallas Keuchel did, and they saw Cease getting piss roped on 98-mile-an-hour fastballs.
Velasquez too with like 95.
So why don't you change gears a little bit? I can't remember who used to say this, but he's like, I have 3 speeds to my fastball: slow, slower, and slowest. Cool. Like, does it get outs? It gets outs. Fuck it. And that's where, again, people don't get it. Like, they want to rage and they're upset, and they're upset about the wrong. Like, I see a lot of, and I don't mean this. I don't want this to come off as I'm probably pontificating. I feel like an asshole now, but I just don't get it. Like, they're getting mad about the wrong things. The things that a lot of these Sox fans get upset about isn't what they should even be upset about. They're like picking the wrong thing. You shouldn't be upset that there was a bunt guy on second and third and that they bunted and Tim Anderson got walked. You should be upset that Moncada and Pito can't get the fucking job done. Your best, your 2-3 guys in your order can't find an outfield grasp when you need them most. Your $1 million arms right now in the bullpen haven't performed, but you got a bunch of rookies that or younger guys that are program guys or franchise guys that are getting it done for now. But why are you so upset? Guess what? Those guys are holding water while the big money guys get right. And guess what? In the end, the guys that are the big money guys, they're big money guys for a reason. They're going to be right, and when they're right, eventually the guys that aren't getting it, the guys that are getting it done that are kind of the franchise guys, that the cheap, less expensive guys, they're going to eventually hit their wall as well. And so it's one of those things. It's like, well, I love this too. Yeah, Cueto, 42 pitches through 4 innings, and he did have a few strikeouts in the first couple innings too. But he
struck out the side in the first.
Yeah, he's got 5 Ks right now. He's thrown 46 pitches right now through 4 and 4 and 2/3. Yeah. Why? It's because he's mostly sharing the baseball. What it is, he's timing his own. He's thrown 10 balls. He's thrown 10 balls tonight. That dude is just awesome.
Yeah, to me, I think of the Earl Weaver philosophy, the old Baltimore Oriole philosophy of pitching. And it's so true, and it makes so much sense. And Jim Palmer went to the Hall of Fame following this simple philosophy. Work fast, throw strikes, and change speeds.
Yep.
That was the entire Oriole philosophy. Don't have your fielders out there standing on their heels, a la Steve Traxel. I'm sure you remember Steve Traxel, the human rain delay in the pitcher's mound.
Yeah.
But
like 35 pitches, seconds between pitches.
That's why guys love being behind Burley. Because he was getting the ball and he threw the ball within 10 seconds after he got it back.
Gotta love that. It's fun to coach too, because you guys get in a rhythm, and then and that's another thing too. Like with these guys, you have to understand that it's rhythm and pace, and they've got to be able to just do their thing for a second. But when you have guys that are more conduit to that kind of pace, you're just going to see a lot more success too. And I'm looking at this right now too. He's given up 5 ground ball outs. He's given up 3 flyouts. I'm curious to see what so of the 15 batters that he's faced, he's got 5 Ks. And, right now, he just finally walked somebody.
Yeah, it looked like he walked with Junior.
Yeah. But, and that's something to keep an eye on. If he can get him to 5 in his first start with no runs allowed, fantastic. But in the end, it's the offense that needs to get the job done. In the end, runs win ball games. You can only expect so much from your pitching staff to constantly be out there throwing. And there's, again, where the balanced lineup comes in, where you look at a lineup that's going to put up runs. And I think that at this point, because of some of the injuries as well, you don't want to make total excuses with injuries, but there have been some injuries. But the fact is that you're still trying to find a combination that really works. And then once you find the perfect combination, then you stick with it. But right now, nothing. Does everybody think that whatever lineup Tony La Russa has been throwing out there that are scoring 2-3 runs a game, we should just keep going with? Like, why? He needs to keep trying different lineups to find the one that actually clicks. So putting Vaughn in the 9 hole, putting Lurie in the 2 hole, like he's trying to find something that works so that they can get comfortable and then keep that lineup going. And then you stick with the lineup. But right now, because of everybody's struggles, is Abreu washed? Is he, or is he just struggling? Is Eloy really as good as everyone thinks he is? I think so. But, things like this, you don't know these answers right now. And so Tony's trying to figure it out. He's trying to put people in the right spots, and you're trying to protect guys, and you are working with egos. You have to dance that line. And so he's trying to figure out the most equitable and politically, positive way to move guys around. You're not going to move Abreu out of the 4. Right?
Yeah. And Josh Nelson pointed something out to me yesterday.
3 or the 4 is he usually 6. He's the 4, right? Usually, is he usually the 4?
Yeah. Josh Nelson pointed something out to me yesterday, and I totally flew over my head. And I was like, wow. Do you know who's caught the most innings for the White Sox this year? Caught the most innings.
McGuire.
Yes. Yeah. I did not realize it till he pointed it out.
Because those bats with the DH are more valuable right now than everything else coming off the bench. So, why not rest Grandal a little bit more for now? And so at the end of the season, his knees feel great. And he's, in the postseason, you go with your guy. But is McGuire, what are the analytics coming back as? Is McGuire actually, is he coming back, scoring out? Is he grading out as a better catcher than Grandal right now? I'm not entirely sure. I think if he is, then you really know there's your why. Whether past performances.
I think Tony likes the defense better from McGuire than Grandal.
And so be it. Yeah, that's what it is, and so it takes what it takes, like we said.
And Yumper asked a question: Did did Cueto do the rocking chair? Yes, he did. And I'm going to date myself a little bit, but he looks like Luis Tiant out there, where you're getting the ball from every body angle imaginable on each pitch. Each pitch is different. It's a different motion. It's a different body movement for almost each pitch. There was one where he hesitated and did like the Kershaw hesitation and then dropped his foot down and fired. Didn't stride.
Oh, man. So I'm just trying to jinx it so that he does actually get the job done, but Patrick
Well,
Wisdom
he just
runners at first and second. He's down 0-2 in the count. I'm trying to like reverse jinx him so that he like gets a hit.
he did it. They're through 5. He did get out of it.
No, I'm talking about Patrick Wisdom's.
Oh, gotcha.
Patrick Wisdom is up with runners at first and second with 2 outs, 1-2 count. He's about to go 0 for 4 if he can't get a hitter up, so I'm trying to totally like reverse jinx him right now. Because I did totally accidentally reverse jinx Swindell, who now is I thought he was back.
Oh my!
Although Gomes is 3 for 4 today. Bam, 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 bam.
The Cubs kicked 3 field goals, huh? Against the Steelers.
Oh yeah, it's the Pirates again. They scored 21 against them before already. They're on pace. That's the funny part. The Cubs have 12 hits, and Patrick Wisdom has not. Love them. So hopefully this little jinxie, this ball 2. See, okay. See, he didn't chase up. So I'm trying to reverse it. You suck. You suck. Here we go. Come on, baby. But anyway, so with that said, now we've talked a little bit about White Sox, so we're going to break this up real quick. And nope, he got out again. God dang it. 0 for 4, and it's only the 6th inning. We have something coming up pretty big here in a couple weeks. And let me see if I can't kind of give a little hint as to what specifically we might be talking about here.
If you don't have the hint, I do.
I got it. I'm just queuing it up right now. Here we go. So you might recognize this song, and this is related to what we're going to be talking about. Why is that not playing? What the hell? Oh, here we go.
Can't hear a thing.
Didn't hear that?
No, didn't hear a thing. Here, let me.
Did anybody else listening to that? Because that was literally the highway to the danger zone. I'm playing it. I got levels.
Here, let me see if I could get it going.
That was weird. You don't hear this?
Do you hear this?
Oh, that's weird.
Or, don't forget.
I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on with my.
Don't forget this.
So with those hints, those subtly overmodulated clips, I'm really trying now. I'm actually a little annoyed because I'm getting total levels, and that didn't go through. That's just so strange that you guys couldn't hear it, but it's going to be on broadcast tomorrow. So it's good because I'm recording it through the soundboard. So the soundboard got it. Just apparently StreamYard did not. But yes, so if you don't know what that song is, you're probably at least less than 24 years old. You live under a rock. You're shameful, and all the different insults I'll find. But you obviously know what that song comes from. It's from the great classic West Side Story. Tom Cruise classic testosterone summer
Scientology-driven movie.
Top Gun. And so with that said, coming up here real soon, those of you that have jumped on this, awesome, because you get a really great opportunity. The Tainted Glove Network, through Yumper and Swow, those two dudes have reserved out a movie theater, and they are going to be an advanced screening of Top Gun Maverick, a private screening just for listeners and followers and or secret lovers. And so they will be there. And Swow, if you guys check out Yumper and Swow, it's at Yumper and Swow, SVO. Check it out. There might be a few tickets left, possibly. If you're interested in heading on down there, guaranteed you will enjoy yourself that night because it's a great running through of people that are right now that are reserved and rolling up.
Mm-hmm. I believe there's about 7 or 8 seats left, if memory serves from what the counts I was hearing was, and I believe there are also some giveaways for those who will be in attendance. And I shouldn't say I believe. I know there are giveaways. I did see what they are. I know you saw it as well. And let me just say, outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Outstanding what the giveaway is. And again, it's 40 people. I think if you had listened to not this last podcast, but the one before, I believe their guest from that podcast, Richard, not Roger Roper, I believe an invitation has been extended to him as well, but I do not know if he will be in attendance for it or not. Because I'm sure he's probably already seen the movie, to be honest.
Oh, well, that's they're what is it called? The embargo is over, I believe. I've seen some reviews too. Actually, I have a friend that saw this as well. And this is something else too. If you're obviously a big fan of the original Top Gun, I have been told, and this is this is a friend that actually is another film critic friend that I do trust. He actually, I actually do respect. He's one of those film critics that you can kind of say if he says it's a fun movie, it's worth it. You go. He actually says that this is Tom Cruise's best movie ever made. That Tom Cruise at age 56, the best film he's ever made. And I've seen other reviews now that also say the same thing. That Tom Cruise has found a way to bottle up the summer blockbuster and save summer blockbusters with this new film. And it's not just him. If you've been, I know Miles Teller's in it. He plays
Jennifer Connelly's in it, which alone makes it worth the price of admission.
Yeah, which is great. I'd rather have Jennifer Connelly than current today Kelly McGillis. And so,
or current today Meg Ryan.
Oh my goodness gracious! So yeah, right. Well, I bet you she shows up in this one. Actually, she'll probably show up. She looks great today.
Well, yeah, because if you saw the trailers of the movie, you know why she would show up, because somebody else is there.
Well, her son's Goose.
Yes,
Goose's son. So like they've actually cleared that one. So that's Miles Teller. And so, but he says that the big thing about this whole film is the camera work. They inserted.
Hey, can I interrupt for a second?
Oh, sure.
Abreu's looking a little weird at third base for the White Sox. Like, I don't know if he pulled something or just is winded or what, but it didn't look right at third base. Something to keep an eye on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with Brian, it's because Tom Cruise's thetan levels are epic right now. Correct. Once him and Katie Holmes split, he started really storing up those thetans.
Yes.
And the glutens and the thetans. And so anyway, but with the cameras, they installed these specific IMAX cameras, the smallest IMAX camera ever made, in the cockpit of these jets. When you see the actors in the cockpit in this film, it's not a green screen. I repeat, it's not a green screen. It's actual footage. This is actual Tom Cruise taking G's in a cockpit with obviously trained pilots, obviously flying the plane, but they've set it up so that he's, when you see his face go, like when it gets in Spies Like Us, when they're like, "Have some coffee?" That sounds like a good idea. When you get that part, that's real. So their pain, their grunts, and their dialogue. These guys were acting while taking G's in a jet plane. Probably, I'm sure there was some puking. I'm sure that there's going to be some great making of stories of people puking in there. But the action sequences are off the charts. And if you went and saw Doctor Strange last week, or you haven't seen it yet, or you have seen it at any point, there is a short 7-minute excerpt from Top Gun, and it's awesome. Like when I went to see Doctor Strange, yes, the Avatar trailer was great too. Right before the Top Gun excerpt, I didn't even want to see Doctor Strange. I'm like, screw this. Can we watch? Can you keep running it? I want to watch Top Gun now, please. In that loud Dolby format, it moved. It moved.
Yeah, I had the same reaction.
Oh, but yeah. So that's so if you're gonna this is a celebratory event. Support these guys too. This is obviously those guys. It's great for those guys too. They're fantastic. Their podcast is awesome. It's Yumper and Swell. Support those guys. Try and get on that list because it's going to be a celebration. Some great people are going to be there. It's going to be a party. How can you not, after watching that movie, not want to go out and rage out with some good people? Go grab some ice cream or Malort or both. Malort with some ice cream. And so, but give those guys support. Hit those guys in the DM if you're interested. Try and get in there, man. It's going to be great. Who knows if the stars align, my ass might be there as well. And if I go, I'll sing a song to you guys. I promise.
You got to sing "Take My Breath Away."
I was gonna sing "You Lost That Love and Feeling."
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I could do something, or I'll just I'll write a song called "God is my friend." But I don't know. So it's yeah. Shut up, Yupper. I hate you. You get this clear, by the way. There is no such thing as first annual. Okay, it has to be repeated to be annual, and if it's the first, it's the first. We call that the inaugural. Okay, so just as it's a pet peeve of mine. I saw that with an ad from an actual like tequila festival here from like an actual big PR company, and it said first annual, and I'm like literally was like ready to like jump through my computer and like punch somebody. It's inaugural for the first one, so this is the inaugural Tainted Glove Networks Yumper and Swo movie meetup.
Mm-hmm.
But the next one would be then if it happens.
The second annual.
Now, annual would mean that you do it like once a year too. So if you do it like every month, then I guess you have to do that. You have to do it every month. It can't
or quarterly.
Quarterly. Yeah, it would be quarterly or bi-monthly or
semi-annual or yeah.
Brian. We're not going to box over the natural. I'll just bring Wonder Boy. It'll be over fast.
And I do in storage have a replica Wonder Boy bat.
Ooh.
Yes.
My friend Stan, his dad's best friend used to be the president of University of Illinois. I don't know the guy's name, but I know that Stan used to always go to their house and visit. He had an actual film used Wonder Boy. So he had one of the actual like the original like whatever it was like 35 they made for the movie or whatever. Yeah. He had one of them. I was like, oh, that's pretty rad.
I actually held one of the Wonder Boys at the Hall of Fame.
Oh, very cool.
Because they have that, and they have the violin case or whatever the hell it was.
Did you cut the balls?
Yeah.
When you held Wonder Boy in your hand?
Yes. Yeah. But they had the violin case or whatever that case was that he carried it in. They had that there too.
Oh, that's rad. Yeah. See, that's good stuff. Like that. I love that. Sorry, that was totally, he got me sidetracked because I love The Natural's my favorite movie. That and Road Tradition, my two favorite movies. But anyway, so support those guys. Give it a look-see. What's the date again? Yumper, I know you're in the
I believe it's Saturday the 6th.
Saturday, June 6th, right? June 6th?
June 4th.
Or June 4th. June 4th.
June 4th, yes.
June 4th, Saturday, June 4th.
It is a 7:30 p.m. showing, I believe, at the Streets of Woodfield.
Streets of Woodfield. Oh, what used to be One Schaumburg Place? Is that what used to be One Schaumburg Place?
Yes, same place.
That's where I saw Shawshank Redemption. Or not Shawshank, when I saw Schindler's List. That's the Schindler's List date site. You guys are going
at the old strip mall?
That's where I went to food court.
With the food court right outside the theater?
It was called One Schaumburg Place back then.
Yes.
And that's where I saw Schindler's List. So
but it's been remodeled. So what you probably remembered is long gone.
But it's the same spot, right? It's the same geographic location. And
yes,
because Woodfield has its own theater, but the Streets of Woodfield,
this is the Streets of Woodfield Theater. Since you moved, they've totally tore it down and rebuilt it. It's completely different now.
Okay.
It's at that location, but where the theater was in the middle before, it's on the one side now. If you're walking towards it, the left-hand side.
Oh no, this isn't it isn't the same place. Okay, it's not the same place. This is across the street. Wait, no, it was One Schaumburg Place. Yeah, built in 1991. The Lowe's Cineplex. It's a Lowe's Cineplex. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, but as you know, it is gone.
Gotcha.
They tore it down in like 99. I want to say they tore it down and then rebuilt it.
Gotcha. Yeah, they reconfigured it to a street side retail instead of like an indoor. So they got rid of the glass. Okay, gotcha. Oh, look at that full circle. Well, going full circle. You guys are gonna. Maybe I need to go. Maybe I should. Maybe just because of that, so I can. The last time I saw a movie, there was the Schindler's List date. So I haven't seen a movie at One Schaumburg or whatever Streets of Woodfield since. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so hop on that.
And I believe Vo used to work there.
He saw Godfather at One Schaumburg Place once.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Brian says he's just going to go to Legoland instead. I mean, I understand.
Yeah, it's right down. It's right down the street from there.
Yep. So, well, cool. So, yeah, enjoy that. Speaking of Top Guns, right now the Cubs are hot and hitting on all cylinders right now, as they are now currently up It is 9-0 still in the bottom of the seventh over the Pirates. And so this would make it the Cubs' third win in a row. They just won a series on the road at San Diego and then at Arizona. And now they are home opening up today against the Pirates, which the Pirates are pretty bad, but wins are wins. You win the games that are on your schedule.
Right.
The Cubs are on the verge of being 5-2 in their last 7 games, which after a miserable stretch to start May and end of April and middle of April, pretty much all of April, and except for like the first series of the season, they're finally getting a little bit going. And so you have some Cub fans are extremely ecstatic. We've got a couple things that are happening. Wilson Contreras is absolutely en fuego right now. He is the hottest. He's right now the number 1 statistical catcher in baseball offensively. You have, pitching staff is doing pretty well, but timely hitting seems to be the big thing for the Cubs right now. So they're winning. And so the big thing that we've talked about here in the past, and I know you're not a big fan of as well, the Cubs this year heading into the season, we're banking on Frank Swindell, a 29-year-old rookie last year, and Patrick Wisdom, a 29-year-old rookie last year, to be superstars. And it hasn't really worked out. In fact, Frank Swindell last Sunday, but for ESPN, this was 2 Sundays ago, he was supposed to be the question and answer guy for the ESPN Sunday night broadcast. And the Cubs sent him down that afternoon. And he got on the airplane. He got all the way back to Iowa. We got to where he was at. And then the next morning, because of a COVID outbreak and a couple of moves because of injury list, he was back on the middle seat on an airplane heading back to San Diego. And he was back with the Cubs by Monday morning. And so he has had a couple of moments. Patrick Wisdom had a good game yesterday, hit a homer and a double. But in the end, Patrick Wisdom is currently hitting .216. He's 0 for 4 today with 5 left on base, hitting .216. Frank Swindell is hitting .219. He is 1 for 4 today. So he's actually past Patrick Wisdom now. So I wonder if they're going to send down Wisdom. So these two guys, they're not producing. And that's a problem, obviously, with why the Cubs are struggling, because they really don't have a great deal of offense. VR, you got these other guys in this lineup. They're not great. Ian Happ's having an okay season. He's 3 for 3 tonight, which is great, but he's been a little bit cold lately. Gomes, same thing as a catcher. He's 3 for 4 tonight. Wilson Contreras is 2 for 4 with a double and a homer DHing, which is great. He's back to 286, but Gomes is 3 for 4, so this jumps his average up. VR is 0 for 2. Vargas came in. Vargas is 0 for 1. And then Simmons got his, I think this might be his first hit as a Cub. Got a hit on the infield single. Yeah, infield single tonight. First hit as a Cub. Ortega's got another hit. These guys are coming through the lineup. They're doing okay. I mean, Jason Hayward's not in the lineup, so that's always a positive. But there's just really the Cubs just have such a dog doo-doo lineup that it's comical to me that this was sold to Cub fans, and some Cub fans really bought in that this team was going to be fully competitive this year. And again, they're having a great little stretch here. It's favorable, but let's be honest, the Diamondbacks are shitty. Even though they've won some games, the Diamondbacks are not good. They happen to have a good start, just like some other teams did too. Eventually, the cream rises to the top. So they're probably on their way down after that Cubs series, to be honest. And then you got the Pirates, who are really bad, but the Cubs have really used them as a punching dog. The Pirates took 3 or 4 from the Cubs at Wrigley last time, so never mind on that too.
Yeah, because didn't the Cubs won the football game, and the Steelers won the rest, right?
Yeah, they lost all 3 of the other 3. Yeah, they scored 21-0 and then lost like 3-1, 3-2, 3-0. But my biggest thing to you ask what your opinions on this too, because Wilson Contreras obviously is playing well. We know that there's 2 choices with Wilson Contreras. It's trade him or sign him to an extension. Teams that are in contention, that are intending on being competitive in the near future, don't let catchers like him just walk away. Now,
this is true.
So the big question to you is, as an outsider, you got Wilson Contreras on fire. You got the Cubs sitting at, they're sitting. What is their record now? They're 10. Man, I need to have these.
And Brian, that's correct. He is no Sebi Zavala.
You got to see the Cubs are sitting at 13-20, 8 games out of first place. At what point do the Cubs have to start thinking about value and what type of trade? If the Cubs are what do the Cubs go for? If the Cubs are a year out from contending, what kind of trade would you make? If the Cubs are 3 years out from contending, what kind of trade would you make? Or do you not make a trade and do you extend Wilson Contreras, a guy right now that is grading out as the top offensive catcher in all of baseball? Or do you strike while the iron's hot?
Well,
or are you Tom Ricketts and you just save money because you want to shove it in your cornhole?
Well, here the part of what you're asking, I have to ask a clarifying question. It depends on if you're 1 year or 3 year out, what you do with him. If it is a 1 year quote unquote retool, if you will, you do try and re-sign him so that he's there for the next window, if you will. If it is a 3 year plus rebuild, I think he should have been traded in the offseason when you could get more value for him for a team to have him for an entire season versus 3/4 or half a season, depending on when you trade him. Case in point, look at what Colorado did with Trevor Story.
Mm-hmm.
The way they handled that was stupid beyond belief because they knew he wasn't coming back. They weren't in contention. Why the hell would he still be there? It made no sense. So, to answer your question, if it is a 3 year plus rebuild, I think he should have been traded already. Just so, being he should have been traded already, he should be traded today or tomorrow or as soon as possible so you can get as much value for him as you can, because as each day goes by, his value decreases a little bit. Yes, you may get a pop in value at the trade deadline, especially if a contender's catcher goes down. Let's just say, pick a contending team. Houston. If they lose, who is it? Toro catching for him? If they lose their catcher, then yes, you can get a pop in value for that. But you also assume the risk of him getting injured or him getting ice cold and lowering his value too. So it's really, to your point, it's a risk reward factor.
And
Are you willing? Yeah,
which is a high danger position, the most dangerous on the diamond.
Yes.
You could easily get trucked tomorrow.
Right. I mean, his knee could blow out for tomorrow just going into a squat, for crying out loud, or he could take a foul ball off the nuts and be singing.
Testicle.
Yeah.
Hey. Mike Tyson, I want to punch him. I want to bite him in the testicle.
Yes. So, to me, under those scenarios, I think he should have been traded under all scenarios, unless you had an agreement in place with him in the offseason. I don't think he should have started the season with the Cubs unless he had an agreement in place. That's my personal opinion.
Makes sense. And where I kind of sit on this is it reminds me of the Kyle Schwarber thing. Remember, the Cubs were so so Kyle Schwarber had a really good final couple months of the season in 2019, and they were like, he's back, his trade value. I'm not trading him.
Fuck yourself.
Yeah, exactly that. And
Nobody gives a shit.
It's awesome.
Holy fuck! Tough-ski shitski.
Your
Are you
bobblehead,
fucking shitting me?
your bobblehead says all those bad words. My bobblehead just says inappropriate racist text messages and nudie photos to owners of the Washington Redskins. So, sorry. If you're not watching the podcast, I've got a John Gruden Corona bobblehead on my desk.
And I was using a Lewis Black talking bobblehead.
So, with the Cubs, they waited too long. They were scared to let go of Schwarber then, and then he goes down again, and he gets back to and then they end up non-tendering him. So, or they getting them getting rid of him for nothing. So with Willie, you got to pull the. I think you got to pull the trigger as soon as possible if this is the case. Yumper makes a good point. We've talked about this on the show here. We've talked about this on my other podcast, The Pinwheels and Ivy. If the Cubs are not contending or don't intend to contend next year, why are you signing Marcus Stroman to a 3-year deal? And I have heard multiple different people that I actually, that usually are pretty close to some pretty honest news. Tell me that there's a belief that Stroman was always signed to be a trade bait guy. But he could very well be dealt at the trade deadline too. He's got 2 years left on his deal after this one. It's pretty cost controlled. And if the Cubs aren't contending, why the hell do you need to pay a guy that if you're still 2-3 years out and his contract will be up before it's even time to contend? So that seems to be pretty interesting to me. The Contreras, obviously, I think Kyle Hendricks might be gone. I've been told by someone that's pretty well in the know that, and I think I read the tweet on the Pinwheels and Ivy. There was a tweet that was deleted from a very good Cubs account, actually, that is usually pretty spot on. that, and I'm not going to name them because they deleted the tweet, so I don't want to fully throw them under the bus, but I did keep the screenshot. That if you look at the Cubs roster right now, 12 to 14 of the players that are on there right now will not be a 2023 Cub, guaranteed. And that's a really, that's a, if you look at the numbers, even the nobodies, it's going to be, somebody's are going to be gone because Seiya Suzuki's not going anywhere. So you can eliminate that out of the 26. So there's 25 now, 14 people. There's 11 that won't be gone. And you just got to look at it the way that it is. You've got, the Cubs have to really take a long look. But at 9-20, 8 games out, you're not out of it just yet. But God, the writing is so easily on the wall to see that this Cubs team is not going to make a run, a concerted run, unless they add pieces. But do you really think that Tom Ricketts is going to add pieces? And this is where Tom Ricketts sits every single day that Wilson Contreras has a good game. It doesn't just up his trade value. It ups his contract value, which guess who's going to be less inclined because he didn't want to pay the MVP. He didn't even want to pay the other 2 All-Stars either. He didn't want to pay those guys, and he's not going to pay, he doesn't want to pay Willie. Like, it's pretty obvious and clear that he's just not going to spend. And if he does, I will be super pleasantly surprised. That it'll be one more checkbox to the win a little bit or whatever. But, you got to make the moves. You got to make the moves. And I guess after last year with Chris being traded, I'm dead inside when it comes to these player trades. Now you're just a person to me. I can't get connected or attached to anybody. They're going to do that to the MVP that won the World, led the Cubs to their first World Series in 108 years. They're going to do it to Wilson Contreras, who didn't really play but like 85 games in 2016. So I got to make a deal. But it's great to see him playing well. He is an up and down guy, so you do want to strike while the iron's hot. So they do got to hit him at the top end of like these hot streaks because he's going to have a bad one. He's going to go cold again, and he's great when he's hot. He's a fantastic teammate. When he's cold, he's really a rough teammate to be around. So right now, good locker room. He's not struggling. And look at the Cubs. They're winning because he's not struggling. But when he struggles again, watch what happens to the lineup and the game and the Cubs' performance when he gets back to like normal again. Like back to like when he struggles. He is that guy. So goes Willie. So goes the whole clubhouse. And remember who busted the TV last year at rock bottom right before the All-Star game on that Sunday? That would be Willie. So Willie and Javi, I think Willie's better off without Javi around, but I still think that Willie he's a guy that his attitude is predicated on his performance. If his performance isn't great, he's got shit attitude. And I know this is what I've been told. So it's not like I'm like making this up in my head, but it still has value, and you put him on a team that's contending. Shit, trade him to the Braves. Play with his brother. But it's got to be done sooner than later because, like you said, it's a catcher position. There's so much more risk of being injured and getting nothing. And he may not even sign with the Cubs anyway. He's saying all the same things that KB said. He's saying all the same things that Rizzo said. He's saying all the same things that Javi said. It's deja vu all over again. So I'm not getting my hopes up, but that's straight. So that's where the Cubs are at.
Can I say one more thing about the Cubs on there? If that tweet you referenced that you have the screen capture of, if that is true, you're talking 3+ years. There is no reason in the world for Contreras to be on this team. If that is the plan, there is no reason in the world for Contreras to be on this team.
And that's the Cubs. That the actions speak louder than words.
Yes.
So if he's traded, we know what the Cubs are front office has been doing, which has been lying to us the whole time. Which I know that to be true. Or if they sign him, hey, they mean business, sort of. So actions are very indicative of where the Cubs' real focus is. All the stupid emails and the letters from the owner and all this bullshit media circuits and the water carriers and the access creepers, all those dudes around the team that want their, want to keep that access and are pumping that gaslight bullshit. You'll know they tell us who they are with the actions they make. Words, we know that the words come out of their mouth are all bullshit. Jed lies for his boss, period. His boss is a big time liar. So we know that it's all hollow words every time. So
and just remember who you're talking to. This is the White Sox business model you're describing.
Yep.
To a T. Everything you're going through, the White Sox have done for over 10 years. It was always signed the second tier free agent, not the top tier guy, or not the guy that made the most sense or who could fill the biggest hole. Because unfortunately, generally, when you had that guy who could fill that hole, who made the most sense. Satan was his agent, and we don't talk to Satan at all. You know, that's the sad thing. As a fan, one of the saddest things I can say as a fan that I've experienced is looking at the free agent list during the offseason and saying, oh, he would look great in a Sox uniform. Satan's his agent, never going to happen. And automatically dismissing these players because of who their fucking agent is. Think about that. Dismissing a player, the possibility of getting a player for who that player's fucking agent is. And Yump, to your point, I'm not convincing you to be a Sox fan. I'm being real with you. You know? And all that you're going through as a Cub fan, I've seen it before. Look south. That's the Southside business model. It's better to finish in second place and leave them wanting more than actually to finish in first because it costs more. Because you got to pay bonuses. You got to pay playoff money. Yes, you may get playoff money for extra attendance, extra games, extra concessions, extra parking, blah, 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 blah. But there's also more money you have to pay out, too. More taxes you have to pay.
Yep. Well, and you definitely don't want to deal with the devil.
Yes. Anderson just put one off of, is Keller still pitching? Yep. Looks like he put one off of Keller's ass. Yumper, yes. Most, and in fairness, most ownership, front offices and ownerships are. There is one owner I could say whose motives I never, ever questioned. And that was George Steinbrenner. There was no doubt George Steinbrenner wanted to win. There was never any doubt he wanted to win. Now, in his pursuit to win, he made some very dumb moves. I think that's a completely accurate and fair statement to make, but there was never a doubt he wanted to win. Can you say that about any ownership group in Chicago?
Not really.
Yeah.
And by the way, I just figured out why it wasn't working. When I got booted out of StreamYard, it the default microphone. So why I wanted to play this, and I couldn't because I said, "You want to talk about our boy the devil?"
The
Yeah.
devil. Everything is the devil to you, mama.
Oh, I was trying to play that. It wasn't coming through, but I realized when I just checked the settings, it had booted me out of my soundboard. But that's okay. Record directly into the soundboard. So, problem
Yes.
solved. Anyway, so with that said, let's move over, shift a little bit, transition, and segue into the. We haven't gotten to talk yet. I did get to go to the NFL draft here in Las Vegas, which was fantastic. It was great to go on that Friday. Got to go see the Weezer concert. Got to see. Snuck all the way to the front row and hung out and watched the Weezer show, which is a blast. But we haven't really gotten a chance to talk about the draft itself. So the Bears went into the draft, obviously with some needs, but also with Ryan Poles, the new Bears general manager, needed to make kind of a, everyone was all eyes on Ryan Poles, right?
Yes.
And he went into the draft and we all were kind of like with bated breath, what is it going to be?
Right.
And so now that the draft is over, we've had a little bit of time to kind of marinate. We've also seen some of these guys I think they've had their rookie camp a little bit. The first pick for the Bears didn't have a first round draft pick. Last year, it was part of the trade with Kyler for Kyler Murray. Wow, for Justin Fields. A little bit taller, a little bit faster. But and with their first pick, the Bears went out and got a cornerback from Washington, Kyler Gordon. And then with their second pick, they went out and a couple picks later, they went and got a safety, Jaquan Brisker from Penn State. So they went immediately to two starters in their secondary. High grade, a 9.69 grade for Gordon, and then for Brisker, a 9.12 grade. So these guys graded out as immediate starters for the Bears. And then they started going through some of the picks. So I guess before we delve into each of the picks, what did you think overall about the Bears draft, and how would you rate Ryan Poles, rookie GM, in his first ever draft as a GM?
I was skeptical of the first two picks, and I'll explain why. Not because of the talent they got. To me, I'm talking from two different angles. The immediate impact and then I've had time to sit back and look at it after the fact impact. The immediate impact was, why the hell aren't you getting offensive line to protect your franchise quarterback? Is Justin Fields your franchise quarterback? Because you don't seem to be doing anything to get him protection on the front line. But after some time to marinate on it, you look at it, and based on the grading you said and watching some video, and that only gets you so far, you had enough holes on this team that you needed to address. And I know there were some people who were out there saying, that Poles didn't do enough. He couldn't do enough. That tells you what kind of shape the hipster doofus former GM left this franchise in. He left it in a fucking shambles. So, to me, Poles' grade in some ways isn't incomplete because he made do with the scenario he was given. No first round pick. He traded down to get an extra pick, doing things like that. So he was trying to get bodies. And the bodies he got seemed to be pretty good. But again, it could look great on paper and they could, become Kevin White for all we know. Or it could become Tony Mandrich. There's a name from the past for a lot of you. If you don't know who he is, go look him up. The Incredible Bulk. Let's just say the Packers made a mistake.
I was waiting for my first comment on that post about some person that doesn't follow me anyway, and they have exactly 14 followers. But
yeah,
are you kidding me with this comment? I hope so. And so my response is going to be, nope, I'm not kidding with this comment. Sorry to break your hope.
Yep.
But did he not drive in a run? I don't know. Did it not pay me? I mean, what part of what I wrote was wrong, other than people that said the 9-hole was a bad idea, and yet, wait, it's 3-0. What's the game-winning RBI if this holds?
Yeah. Wouldn't it be the first one?
The guy in the 9-hole that drove in the one.
Yes. Yeah. And again, to the discussion we had before about OBP and getting on base, I don't care if you get a hit. I don't care if you walk, as long as you get on base. The same could be said for, I don't care if Vaughn bats first. I don't care if Vaughn bats ninth. At the end of the game, is it a W or an L? Because you want more W's than you want L's. Yep. So it's a team fucking game. So if they get the W, guess what? Something clicked. Something worked right. Granted, you don't get to fulfill your narrative that, oh, Tony was so stupid that he put this guy ninth and they lost. Oh, what an idiot. They should fire him. Your narrative's gone for the day. Oh, boo-hoo. Go fucking cry in the fucking shower or something and rub one out while you're at it, for God's sakes.
All right, so, by the way, so here we're about to be in the top of the 8th inning, so Andrew Vaughn's going to actually lead off the top of the 8th inning. Oh, no, he's not. No, he's not. Oh, no, he's just he's 0 for 2 with his RBI, so his sack did the job. And he's got to stick with the strikeout. Okay, so I was hoping that he would lead off, and I need him to hit it like a double or something, then I can be like driving.
I need him to smoke one. Just
him to drive in 2 runs, just so I can feel a little bit better about trolling people. Because being sarcastic, but it pay off. There's nothing I said. Ooh, no, not again.
Well, if that works too, more power to him.
Carjacked. So we'll go with with the Bears. So we look at some of these picks. He went secondary early, and that third pick was the one that a lot of people were freaking out about. And this is my question. This is, I'm curious your opinion on this as well. Third pick number 71, wide receiver. Is it Velus Jones Jr. from Tennessee?
Yes, I believe.
Yep.
He's the 25-year-old, right? Or
he's 25.
Yes.
He runs a 4.31 40. So he's got great speed. He really projects more like a Cordell Patterson, because he is his height and weight. He's 6 feet tall, and he weigh. What does he weigh? He's 201 pounds. He's a big dude for being a speedy guy. So you've got a guy that's going to return kicks, a guy that could line up and burn some people, be a burner for you. I mean, obviously the Bears don't have the best wide receiver, core by any means. Darnell Mooney being, I guess the prime guy, but they also went and got Pringle, who can't stay at, really don't get arrested again, dude.
Please don't.
Got all I can think is Velvet Jones. Sorry, Velas Jones, but Velvet Jones. I want to be a hoe, and so he runs. He's an unpolished wide receiver, but he's a guy that takes short routes and turns them into big gainers. So he's kind of like that, but he's going to be a kick and punt returner. I mean, that's really the end. He'll be a deep threat and a kick and punt returner. It's a top end speed guy with good vision and balance, complete skills to create the ball in his hands as a returner and a catch and go threat. 80% of his receptions came within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. So he gets off the line quick. So we'll have to see how he adjusts to the physical part of the NFL. But once he catches the football, look out. So my question to you is: there's been comparison. I've seen people compare him to Deebo Samuel. That's a lot. That's rough on the poor kid. But
that's a lot to ask.
Yeah, but you do have an aged, mature, older guy that physically seems to be. 25. What's 25 if you're physically in good shape? So, what is your thoughts on it? Does it matter? And do you feel like this was a good pick by the Bears in filling a need that they lost when Cordell Patterson was allowed to walk? And this past season, what's his name? God, what's the little gunner guy? He's a little fast guy. Jakeem Grant took off.
Okay.
So you got to replace. So what do you think?
It's a very tough question to answer because you don't know who the coaching staff is. Now, if it was the Matt Nagy staff, I would be wildly against it. Not because of the player, but I wouldn't trust the Nagy coaching staff with the raw tools to develop it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really a tough one to answer because you don't know who the coaching staff is. I don't mind taking a chance on someone with the raw tools he has because you can't teach speed.
Right. Nope.
Hopefully he doesn't have, stones for hands and he can hold the ball because if he can run and he can catch, you could teach him route running. Uh-huh. That's not a problem. It's you can't teach speed and you can't teach hands.
Yep.
So if he's got the speed and he's got the hands, hopefully the coaching staff can tap into something and maybe make him not Deebo Samuel, but I don't know, Deebo Samuel light, if you will.
That works. And that's really what we're looking for, right? I mean,
you
get a guy that's 25 years old that if he pans out for a couple of years and it's a stopgap till they can add some like signable talent, great.
Yes.
Pringle, is a decent guy that was stuck in an offense that had a ton of talent. And he just, he was a guy that had flashes, but I think maybe we saw a little bit of why he's a little bit of a problem. But you've got a guy his grade, his athletic scores, his composite speed grade is elite. His agility grade is actually below average. Which is right. He's a catch and go. He's not a cut, and then go. He's a catch and then bye-bye.
Right.
He's got a fine broad jump. He's okay there. He's okay with his height. His bench
he's Willie Gault is who he is.
He got an elite grade for his bench, actually. So he's strong. So his height or his weight is fine too. He's okay in weight. But he's a 6'1" guy that can move pretty good. So then they move up, and now we got the offensive lineman GM getting to work, and this was a sleeper pick if there was one.
Yes,
so Utah's offensive tackle Braxton Jones with the 5th round pick. He is a left and right tackle. He is first team All Big Sky. He's an All FCS player. He's kind of like a diamond in the rough for a zone run scheme. He's a great run blocker, which bodes well in Chicago. He's big. He's at 6'5", 310 with a 35.5-inch arm length. He's got foot quickness and balance. He's a guy that might have fallen under the radar and could be considered to be an extremely good skill. And he graded out as an elite draft pick in the 5th round by the relative athletic score from the Bears.
Yeah. I was going to say there are a few experts who are saying this may be the steal of the draft.
Uh-huh.
This pick may be the steal of the draft. And I hope so. I felt all along, and I know we've talked about it ad nauseum, that they had to address the offensive line. Because if Justin Fields is your future, if he is going to be the guy who leads you to the promised land, you need to address the offensive line to protect him.
Mm-hmm. And so they get a good grade on this guy. And then the next pick, edge rusher Dominique Robinson from University of Miami, Ohio, also a 5th-round pick, 6'4", 253, incredibly athletic, inexperienced, and still learning the position. So this is a guy that's more of a project. He's got a very high ceiling, but he's only been playing the position for 2 years. He's explosive. He's got a 41-inch vertical, which is the 98th percentile for any edge rusher in the draft. And then he has an 81.9-inch wingspan. So that's a lot of balls to knock down. He has some big, long arms and hands, too. He doesn't like to be balked. He's good size, so there's a lot of good reviews there. And a value pick. So he's a guy that you can, with the Bears defensive staff, which is a solid defensive staff, I think you're going to be able to send. Again, he graded out as an elite pickup, 9.74 on the elite out of 10 on the elite scale. His explosion grade, elite. His height, elite. His speed, his agility, all elite. So I really think that's interesting that he's grading out with those. So that's a good pickup. I mean, the Bears are going to have to obviously fill some gaps. That left, Khalil Mack's gone, and Roquan Smith is now the dude. Jonathan Trevathan also gone, right? Am I going crazy? Is he gone too?
Yeah, Trevathan's gone.
And
Daniel Trevathan.
You're looking for guys that can fill in, and guys that
and
can.
Quinn's probably going to be gone at some point.
Yep, I think they're going to running a 43, right? They're going 4-3. They're going back to the 43.
Yes, they're going back to 43.
So you've got to have these edge rushers, and so he's going to provide a nice, good hybrid edge rusher, and. Yeah,
I could see Quinn being gone too because he doesn't fit on this team. And by the time this team becomes good, Quinn will be gone. So if it ain't bolted to the floor, trade it for capital, for draft capital for next year and the following years after that.
Yep. Okay. So then we we go to the offensive line again, and offensive tackle Zach Thomas out of San Diego State. Now this one's divisive. I've read some positives and some negatives, and I can tell you right now he's very good. I thought he was really good at San Diego State. I've gotten to see him for 4 years. He's a 4-year starter. He's again a zone run scheme, good for run zone scheme. So obviously that tells me that they keep taking these runs. The Bears are going to be running a zone blocking run offense, and so he's 6'4", 308, a 33.9 arm. Length. So he's a typical blocking lineman. He's a little bit light. He's got shorter arms than normal, but he wins with quickness and explosion. And he can get to the second level with linebackers, which will bode really well for David Montgomery to get those extra 3-4 yards, especially late in the game when the Bears grind things out and beat a team into submission a little bit if they can get to that point. Now, again, the Bears are going to be rough this year, but you can still make games respectable if you can win in the trenches, no matter how bad things might be. You can keep and possess the football and still find ways to stay in a ball game. If you can obviously play any kind of decent defense, and I think that they probably will with Everfluss. But so he's got, he grades out again. Speed grade elite, agility grade elite. His height elite, but his bench was low. His bench was actually below average. His vertical was below average. So I guess he won't be picked in pick up basketball anytime. But his broad jump was elite. So I don't know. That's an interesting, but these two offensive line picks here late in the draft, in that 5th round and then this 6th round pick, could be very, very. We could look back on this draft and think Ryan Poles really hit a home run with some of these guys. And then they got the Ebner kid from Baylor, who's a 4.4 speed guy, more like a Khalil Herbert kind of guy. Or Darian Evans, who's also a guy they just picked up from the Titans, who's also looking to kind of reestablish his career. He was the backup for Derrick Henry. But you got a guy that can run and catch passes. And again, he's coming out of Oregon. He's coming out of Baylor, excuse me. So where he was utilized with speed, and he is a very decisive runner, which is good, especially with his zone blocking scheme. Very good pass catching versatility and a special teams guy. So he's a north-south physical runner.
Yes. Thank God. Because, well, I shouldn't say the players, but the east-west nature of the Matt Nagy play calling drove me nuts. It's a vertical game, not a horizontal game, Matt.
Yep.
But no, I think the draft overall, he addressed needs. He didn't address them in the order that I was expecting, but he did address them. So I have to give him that. To those people in the Twitterverse who complained that he didn't do enough, you really need to look at the roster and see what he had to work with. He couldn't do enough in 1 year. Now, the thing to remember with the Bears is look out for him after the end of the 22 season, because they have something like $120 million in cap space.
Mhm.
And so they can really, if this draft does turn out well and the 23 draft turns out well, plus shrewd free agent signings, they could get really good really fast.
Mhm.
Really fast. So it's a year you're gonna have to bear through and take the beatings like a man and go from there.
Yep. And then to wrap out the draft, Illinois fans will be familiar with this. They got center or offensive lineman, I guess, but he's a center. Doug Kramer from University of Illinois. And again, a player that fits into the zone blocking scheme.
Yes.
As a center. So he got some center depth too, possibly. He's undersized. He's not really position flex, so he's basically there, but he's a smart grinder. Carving out a multi-contract NFL career. So that's it's not too bad. Are
we looking at a Patrick Manley type of guy?
Like a depth move, yeah, a guy that But again, he grades out like the talent, like the abilities. It's good speed, good agility, good explosion grade. It's now the size factor is a problem. Poor, to be honest, is what it gives him a grade as. So, and then you got another offensive line. Is it Jatir Carter out of Southern? Also another 4-year starter, 6'3", 311, a perfect frame to move to a guard. He's also a former high school basketball player that converted to offensive line once he got to college. So he's still learning. So you have a guy that also has good speed, runs a 5'1", 340, which is kind of great for a big guy. Poor shuttle, good broad jump, decent vertical. Not a high bench. His height is obviously an issue because he's he's what? I don't know how height is an issue. He's 6'3", but I don't know whether that's a poor grade, but his weight is 311. So, I mean, he looks like a big one. And then they close out the draft, I believe, with a couple of seventh rounders. They got safety Elijah Hicks from University of California, from Cal. He's a versatile guy, so he can play safety, deep safety, or even line up as a cornerback if need be, more like a special teams pickup. And then the final pickup, speaking of special teams, Trenton Gill, punter from NC State. Yep. He is so the Bears used a draft pick on a punter. He averaged 45.1 yards per punt as a senior. He's also a kickoff specialist. So with Pat O'Donnell becoming a trader and moving to Green Bay.
That's right.
Now hit with Ryan Winslow in spring in training camp. So, who knows? It could be a really good pickup. Who knows? Punters, when you draft a punter, they better be a rock star. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah, you need Sebastian Janikowski type punters if you're gonna draft them.
Those types of just the guys that are free if you're gonna actually spend it on the draft pick. So
yeah, it's like they got to have a thunderbolt in their leg or something.
So overall, what would you give the Bears if you were to grade them A through F? What is your grade for the Bears and why?
I would say, given what we see right now, and obviously the grade is for right now. 5 years from now, if you ask me, it may be an entirely different grade. But given the grade right now, I'd probably go A-, B+. And the reason being is partially because of the talent they acquired when they acquired it, but also because there's just so many holes that you can't fill them all in one draft. Not with what you had. No first round pick because of the Justin Fields trade last year. So it's a matter of getting all of those pieces together. And I think part of it is that, like I said, A-, B+, somewhere in there. It could change 5 years down the road if you ask me to revisit the question. Let's just say Brisker's a 4-time Pro Bowler or something like that. And, some of the offensive linemen click and Justin Fields becomes an all-pro quarterback. It could go to an A+ real quick. It's just A-, B+, I feel, is the appropriate place because he addressed the most glaring needs of the team. Not all of them, but the most glaring. And that being offensive line, that being, secondary, and then defensive line. Because remember, something I've always preached, and my father preached to me and my grandfather preached to my father and so on and so forth. Football is won and lost on the lines. If you can't block for your quarterback and you can't penetrate and tackle the running back or quarterback, you're going to lose.
Yep.
So addressing those things, I think, is a big step in the right direction. Again, he didn't do enough because he couldn't do enough given the way the roster is constructed, the financial, the salary cap and the impacts of the salary cap, and also just the amount of holes that are on the roster. So I think this is a good first step, a very good first step. To me, I want to see what he does in 23. Because by then you should have a better idea of, okay, we've plugged this gap. This is still a gap we need to address. And how does he approach it then?
Mm-hmm. Good point. All right, good. And I honestly, I'm with you too. An A- sounds pretty good. I think that Ryan Poles knows what he wanted, and he got what he wanted. You see a lot of zone blocking offensive linemen. You see immediate starters in the secondary, which is obviously should pair well with Eddie Jackson
Yep.
and Justin. Justin Jackson. Is Justin Jackson? Justin Jackson. Am I going crazy?
Yeah.
So I would say the same thing, and I really do like. I like the third round pick. I like the 25-year-old wide receiver, man. I think it that Vilas is one of those guys that you're going to get guff because he's older, but who cares? I don't care how old he is. He's running a 4.31 40 now. That's fine.
Yeah.
So I would give him the A- there, and I think this is which leads to the next thing. We know the Bears are at least a season away from really contending, but anything can happen in the NFL. You win 2 games in a row to open the season or something. Things kind of all of a sudden people start believing, and all of a sudden,
right?
Strange how things happen that way. Teams that come out of nowhere. Now, I don't think the Bears are probably on that level, but I wouldn't be shocked. But we got the schedule has now been released, so this drafted team is going to be facing off on a third place team schedule, and so the typical preseason we got the Chiefs, Seattle, and Cleveland in the three preseason game, and then the Bears open up week 1 at home.
Against the Niners.
The 99ers. So let's kind of go through this. I'm just going to kind of read down the schedule, and then we're going to go one by one, and let's see if we can't predict what we think is going to be the schedule for the Bears this year.
And when you come to it, I want to talk about a unique quirk in the Bears schedule. There is a very unique quirk that someone pointed out, or actually was pointed out on Twitter, that I found fascinating. But so for week 1 with the Niners, and by the way, I have my handy dandy Bear schedule right here in front of me. So week 1, I have that as a loss.
Okay. All right. So let's go through here's the whole schedule real quick. Week 1, San Francisco 49ers at home. At Green Bay week 2. Home against the Houston Texans. At New York Giants in week 4. At Minnesota Vikings in week 5. In Chicago against the Commanders, maybe a trip for me.
Thursday night game.
My buddy H and I might be coming out, and the ladies might actually be coming with us for the week. Now all of a sudden we're planning like a get out there on a Thursday afternoon. The guys go out to watch the game while the ladies go shopping on Miracle Mile, and then we spend the Friday and Saturday with the ladies doing showing them Chicago. So anyway,
very nice.
My buddy H is a big Redskins fan, Commanders fan. Week 7 at New England. Week 8 at Dallas, always a pleasure. At home against Miami for week 9, at home against the Detroit Turd Buckets in week 10, week 11 at Atlanta, another game I might end up going to. That's where my parents live there, and that's around Thanksgiving week, so I may end up dipping out over there. Week 12 at New York Jets, and week 13, unlucky 13, against the Green Bay Packers on a Sunday afternoon. And then let's see here.
And that game can be flexed.
Yeah, that's a flexible. Week 14 is finally the Bears get the bye. And then week 15 at home against the Eagles, at home against the Bills. That'll be a really tough one. At Detroit. And then the Bears close out the season, TBD, week 18 at home against the Minnesota Vikings. So with that said, we've gone through the schedule. Let's go ahead and go through our predictions. Week 1, San Francisco 49ers. What do you think?
L.
L? Ooh.
Yeah. Okay. They take a loss.
Okay, I'm going to differ with you. I think the Bears
Okay.
are going to come out and win an opening day. I think the Bears had that Niners game won this past year. I don't think that this quarterback situation in San Francisco is going to really play well in the first couple weeks of the season. I think the Bears will be able to capitalize. Justin Fields had an actually very good game against the 49ers. So I think that's the game where the Bears sneak up and like snake out like a 17-14 win. Like not great, but somehow, hey, the Bears beat the Niners. Bears are 1-0. We're on be undefeated, obviously, because then the Green Bay is the next week. So at Lambeau on a Sunday night. That's so a Sunday night game at Lambeau on NBC.
I get Lambeau L.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with an L on that one. That one is the one that knocks the Bears' dick back in the dirt after San Francisco.
Yes.
But week 3 is a get right opportunity with the Houston.
Yes.
Who do you got with Houston?
Head coach Lovie Smith leading the Texans.
Yes, that's true.
I got a W.
All right, so you got LLW. I go WLW. Okay, so I'm going to keep track of these so we can figure out what our predictions for this season is. All right, so next game is at the New York Giants, who are in the throes of their own quarterback issues.
Mm-hmm.
So
I got a dub.
All right, we got a dub. We got 2 in a row for the Bears. I got a dub there too. I got the Bears start 3 out of 4. Whoa, that's a homer job for you.
Yeah.
Right, at Minnesota in week 5,
the winning streak ends.
Ooh, okay. So yeah, I think the Bears drop in Minnesota as well. So there's that L there. And then next, the Chicago hosting the Commanders, and they're not bad. Washington's
on
not
Thursday
bad.
Night Football.
I think Washington might actually win that division this year. I think they're going to be sneaky good. But we'll see. I love Ron Rivera a ton, but what do you think?
I think they sneak one out, like a 17-14, 21-20 type of game.
Okay, I don't disagree with you actually on that one. I think that'll be an ugly game. I got to watch them beat the Raiders last year, but I also got to watch the Bears beat the Raiders. So I think the W for the Bears as well. I think because if I go to the game, the Bears win. When I go watch the Bears, they don't lose, and that is something that I actually will hold true every time. Whether it's a Monday Night Football game when they're 10-point underdogs to Brett Favre and the Minnesota Vikings and they beat the shit out of them, loving it, or whether it's going to see them on the road here in Vegas as underdogs and then embarrassing the Raiders in their own new stadium. I just think they win every time I go. So
and we got to see Chucky's last game as Raiders head coach.
True, we did, didn't we?
Yes.
Everything fell apart at that point. All right, so we both got W's on that one. Now the Bears get on the road and they head up to
New England
Stadium to New England to face Bill Belichick and the
on Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football against Mac Jones and Belichick. So what do you got?
I got an L.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I think I feel like that game plan, give an extra day to our boy Bill. He's going to figure out a way to Justin Fields.
Yes.
Now, this one is always funny. Week 8, the day before Halloween, at Dallas.
I got an L.
You got an L.
Yes.
I got a W.
Okay.
Because I think the Cowboys are always a joke.
I agree with that. But
the Bears go into a game, underdogs against the Cowboys. The Bears, even Trubisky owned the Cowboys. So, and it's Mike McCarthy, isn't he still there? Oh,
yes.
So we'll see on that. But I think that's a road win that the Bears sting and embarrass the Cowboys because the Cowboys are always pretenders. But they might have they might be like 5-3 at that point, and that's when all the Cowboys fans like popping out like cockroaches when the lights turn on. We're back, baby, and then they lose like 7 in a row. So I think the Bears win that one. Week 9 at home against the Miami Dolphins and Tyreek Hill. What do you think?
I got that as a W.
W. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. I think that's going to be a W for the Bears as well. I think that Miami's quarterback situation is dismal, and Tua is going to get beat. So now we go week 10 at home against the Detroit Dingleberries.
All right. You talked about pretenders earlier. Here they are. You know, I got a W for against the Lion.
I do. I have a home W against the Lions. And Lions have been really running their mouths like, I wish we played the Bears in opening week so we can get an opening week win. Shut up. You're the Lions. Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut your mouth, Lions fans. You don't get to talk for like ever. So next up, week 11 at Atlanta.
They hired Ryan Pace. That's all you need to know. W.
Oh, see, I'm disagreeing with you on that one. I think that's the game the Bears should win, and then they just shit the bed on the road, and something weird happens, like that one time they were in Atlanta. Remember when they were in Atlanta a couple years ago, and they scored like the game-winning touchdown or kicked the game-winning field goal, and there was like 12 seconds left to go in the game.
Yeah.
And then they kicked it, and they gave up like the 60-yard kickoff return, one completion, and then they lost on a field goal in 20 seconds. So that is sticking in my head. So I think that's a loss and a weird, embarrassing one.
Graveman just gave up a 2-run triple to Whit Merrifield, and the White Sox are still leading 3-2.
So Vaughn is no longer the game-winning RBI. Dang you, Graveman. Now, week 12, the Bears head to the Meadowlands, to MetLife Stadium, to play the New York Jets. What do you got there?
I got a W for the Bear against the New York Football Jets.
Okay. I'm so confused right now. Oh, no. Yeah, how many buys do the Bears have?
They got one.
Oh, it's after Green Bay. I'm an idiot. Sorry, I'm an idiot. Sorry. Yeah, I got the Bears winning in New York, too. I got the Bears beating the Jets. Jets. That one just seems like it. Then the next one, week 13, unlucky 13, Bears against Packers at home. If the Bears are winning, if the Bears have the record that, according to my predictions, they have, this actually might be a fight.
Yes. I'll give them an L, though.
Yeah, I'm still going to take an L there. Just have to. And then we go up next week. We have the bye. And then we go at home against the Philadelphia Eagles.
I got a dub.
You got a dub there. I got an L there. I got a rough L there. All right. So then this one's tough. This one. Buffalo Bills. I think we're pretty in agreement on that one. We're gonna.
That's a big fat whopping L.
Yeah. So Bears dropped Bears dropped their third straight, but nothing is better than a slump buster and some Detroit pie. So
on New Year's Day,
Bears at Detroit. What do you got?
I got a dub.
Got a dub. Me too. I got a dub there. And then last, not to be the least, Minnesota, who will probably also be out of contention at that point, with the Bears, who will probably be out of contention at that point.
Yes.
A home game against the Vikings. What do you got?
I got an L.
Got an L? I think that's the one the Bears win. I think the Bears take that one. I think that's the last game we ever see Kirk Cousins in a Minnesota Vikings uniform.
It's a tie ball game in Kansas City.
Wow. So everyone got the Graveman they wanted, and the Graveman didn't give what they wanted. Well, maybe
it's La Russa's fault for putting Graveman in.
Yep. Even though how many people were begging for him? Those same people that were begging for him last week are now going to, why did you bring Graveman in?
Yeah.
All right. So
why'd you bring Kelly in?
Let's go with your count. So 1 and 2, 2 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 3, 3 and 5, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 5, 7 and 6, 8 and 6, 8 and 7, 9 and 7. So you got a 9 and 8 Bears season record this year, is according to your predictions. For me, let's go 1 and 1, 3 and 1, 3 2, 4 2, 4 3, 5 3, 6 3, 7 3, 7 4, 8 4, 8 and 7, 9. I have the Bears going 10 and 7. I'm on crack. I have the Bears going 10 and 7. Meth is bad for you, but oh well. Yes. So it's like we've got Pete's prediction is a 9 and 8 season for the Bears. I got 10 and 7, I guess, if that's what we're doing. My goodness gracious, I must be delusional. So
yes,
I guess we'll see.
And look at their schedule. There is a very odd scheduling quirk in this schedule. The Bears do not have a road game in the month of December.
Right.
Because they have the bye in there. So you have the Packers on 12-4, the bye, the Eagles on 12-18, the Bills on Christmas Eve. It's a Saturday game since Christmas is on a Sunday, you get the traditional, Saturday game instead of Sunday game.
Right.
And then they go on the road January 1st to Detroit.
Right.
So they spend the entire month of December at home.
So there's that.
That's not a bad thing.
The schedule's not actually that. I mean, it is. It's a third place team schedule, so there's some winnable games there. I mean, the Bears could be better than we assume, but
yes.
I mean,
the Bears are always better when they play the lesser schedules.
Yeah, yep. And it could be fool's gold, but we'll see.
Yeah. And again, you also look at it. You have 4 home games from December and January
Good finish.
for the Bears. Same thing with the Raiders. The
Yep.
Raiders have half of their home schedule is in December and January.
It's just gonna be great here because they don't have that window open. Ooh, that'd have been
And
nice.
I know King Nam was a little upset because he had told me he wanted to buy the 49ers tickets for the Raiders 49ers in Vegas. So when the schedule came out, I did a screen capture of the game being on January 1st, and I just sent it to him. I go, I think I know your answer.
Woo. Well, great. So, I think we're gonna actually. I think we should probably put a pin in it. We'll get to Doctor Strange and some new movie stuff next week. Next episode. Well, we could talk about the Black Keys album another time too. That's kind of.
I highly recommend the Black Keys, but again, it is not Jack White's. Jack White has set the bar very, very high.
So, if you're listening, Jack White, Black Keys album, throw those suckers on. They're great. I'm gonna actually by the time see here. So Wednesday of this week. So in 2 days, I'm going to see Bastille. Live at Virgin, right? So I'm about to hit my concert season. Let me just kind of read this because next time I see you guys, we've got this week, and so I have Bastille. I'm going to this place called Scotch 80 on Wednesday or Thursday night. Pete, you're going to love this place. It's at the Palms. It's now reopened. It is a high end. Their Scotch collection is off the charts. I'm going there with a food critic buddy, so it's and a food restaurant owner, so I'm not paying, and it's a very expensive place. So that's awesome.
It's free. It's for me. That's always good.
Absolutely. And then next week on the 26th, I got Rainbow Kitten Surprise on that Thursday, the 26th. And then the following Sunday, the 29th, Sunday before Memorial Day weekend. Now, at this point, I'm already on summer vacation. My last day of school is next Wednesday. So I'm in the last week of regular school. I have half days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I'm done. But the 29th, I'm seeing Jack White here. So I have the Jack White concert on the 29th on Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. Rainbow Kitten Surprise on the 26th on the first day of summer vacation for me. And so I got a lot of concerts coming up. So we'll have plenty to talk about there. But if you haven't heard the Black Keys album and the Jack White album, you need to throw that bad boy on immediately. It's a great album. I know that Pearl Jam was just in Chicago, were they not? If I'm going crazy, I know I've got a buddy that invited me to a Pearl Jam show here in a couple of days, and I just can't make it. I have a poker night with a buddy. So, so a lot of good stuff coming down. So we'll talk about that. I mean, I did talk about Doctor Strange last week on our season finale. So I did talk about it a little bit. So we can talk about that at the time. But get some real.
I'll just say for Doctor Strange, the highlight was the Top Gun preview.
Yeah, correct. And by the time, I mean, because when is our next episode? When will be our next episode again? It
would actually be after the Monday after the Top Gun screening. So we'll have plenty to talk about with that.
So that'll be June 6th. So we won't be on next Monday, the 23rd, and then we obviously Memorial Day weekend. I can go on Memorial Day night if we're around, but I
will be on a golf course, so
I'll be ass wasted. So I'm not sure if that's really a good idea. But I mean, we've done it before. But that will be Memorial Day, and I have no school, so I'm about to be. It's almost liver killing season for me.
I will be on a golf course, but I will also be getting a sneak preview of a movie called The Royal while I am out of town. And The Royal is a movie about the struggles of Willie Aikens of the Kansas City Royals. It is a private screening that Willie Aikens will be at, as well as a Hall of Fame teammate who helped him with his struggles, a gentleman by the name of George Brett, which is sort of fitting that the Sox are playing the Royals today.
So also, I totally forgot that I'm doing on the 24th. I'm going to a special screening on Tuesday, May 24th. I forgot for the Facing Nolan documentary.
Oh, I saw that. They have one here at Oakbrook, and unfortunately, I would like to go, but I just can't because I'm going out of town. So I would love to see that.
That's I think that's a one-nighter.
Yes, it is.
So that'll be pretty cool. So we got some stuff coming down the line.
And also on the 24th for those, here's a little trick. There is a special Tuesday night sneak early preview showing of Top Gun.
Woo! Making me check my app real quick. So we got all that coming down the line. So we definitely, to make sure you tune in again. Make sure you check out Yumper and Swow. And if you want to go to the Top Gun event that we talked about earlier, DM those guys. There's 6, 7, 8 left. Also, make sure you go to the website, thetaintedglove.com. Check it out with some content. The weekly, Swo does his weekly hat standings. Gets great film reviews from Yump and some music reviews. And Pete and I obviously are throwing some stuff down on paper as well. So check out the Tainted Glove website. Make sure you like this, like the video, hammer that like button, follow, subscribe. Our subscriptions for the Tainted Glove are here on our YouTube page. We're approaching the 100th follower. So if you're the 100th follower, maybe we'll have a special gift for you. I don't know. But we are at 84 subscribers right now. So 16 subscribers. If you are the 16th subscriber, maybe I'll send you a bobblehead that sends you terribly racist emails and or sexual content of women from photo shoots that didn't give their consent. So,
and speaking of bobbleheads, Yumper and Svo have teamed with our good friends from the 108 to offer the opportunity for someone to receive the Tim Anderson Field of Dreams bobblehead that was just given away this past Saturday. So go check out their Twitter handle at Yumper and Svo and enter the contest to win. You can't win it if you're not in it.
Absolutely. So the first screening of Top Gun, by the way, it looks like it. Oh no, go back. It looks like it is Thursday, May 26th.
Look at Tuesday. There's a special one-time sneak showing.
Oh my God. Am I going to go see this movie and then go to that concert Thursday night? How long is the movie? 2 hours and 11 minutes? 3 hour. I'm going to see it at 3 o'clock on. Is there any other? Absolutely. There's one seat where I want it. Got 'em. So, okay. I have tickets to the first screening of all time, I guess, here at the Dolby's.
I'm telling you, look at Tuesday night.
Well, this is the first one that comes up on the
on AMC. There's a sneak preview one.
Is it? Let me pop over there and see.
Let me see.
Is that Tuesday, May 24th?
Yes.
Okay, let me pop over there. Oops, an error has occurred. What the freak? Oh, you son of a basket. Yeah, I canceled my order. All right, go back to the 3 o'clock. Now, are you going to make that seat that I grabbed gone? No? Okay, good. I like it in the back row.
That's what she said.
Whoa, ha, ha, ha. I'll take that.
Hey-o. Yes.
So yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't need to be buying my movie tickets while we're doing the podcast. But yeah, definitely check out those things. Make sure you give us a follow at Tainted Glove on Instagram, or not Instagram, on the tweeters. And follow us on Facebook if you're on Facebook as well. There is we do have a Facebook account, and this is giving me problems right now. So of course it's malfunctioning.
For those of you watching the video, you can see I'm holding my phone showing the Top Gun Maverick early screening on Tuesday, May 24th at AMC Oakbrook at 7 p.m.
Done. I just bought mine. It was there. You're right. Oh, no. This one is excluded from A-list benefits. Oh, no. I'm not paying $24. Not when I pay $21 a month for the unlimited movie. So Thursday, May 26th will be the day. Anyway, so with that said, again, just for me, as far as as we're putting a pin on tonight, thank you guys for tuning in again. Cubs, White Sox, both. Our White Sox are now going to be going extra innings or maybe walk a game off. Mm-hmm. Darn it, I couldn't get the game-winning walk-off home run from Andrew Vaughn. Damn.
No.
But the Cubs won 9-0. White Sox are in a dogfight. So we'll see how this plays out. But we do appreciate you guys tuning in again. Welcome to season 2 of the Tainted Glove. We do want to really encourage you guys to keep listening. We are going to be bringing on the first year. We kind of decided that we were going to. We only had 1 or 2 guests. One was an accidental guest in Luke, and then the other guest was obviously Josh from the Baseball Hall of Fame, and Josh, right?
Josh, yeah, Josh Rawich.
We are looking to bring some guests on this second season to give us a little more variety and have some really cool to continue to add to the content. And so keep an eye out for some of our special guests that will be popping on here. Some of them are pro baseball players, some former pro players, some coaches, some media personalities,
some former front office types,
some former go-go dancers, a whole lot we have coming down the line. So for me, at least, before Pete takes us on out of here, thank you guys again. We know we appreciate you guys tuning in again, and it's always great to be here and hang out with Pete as well. I appreciate you guys, and just make sure you give support to all the podcasts that are putting the time in, and again, thanks so much for everything, guys. And with that, Pete, why don't you take us on out?
Well, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for joining us for the beginning of season 2. Your time was greatly appreciated for season 1, for putting up with our antics, listening to our mindless drivel at times. And again, we couldn't do this without your support. So thank you so much from the bottom of your heart, from our hearts, because the greatest gift you could give someone is giving them your time. So we thank you so much for giving us some of your time. And with that being said, I just want to turn it over to the third man in the wing formation, our friend, our partner, our buddy, our philosopher, Yeah Dog. Yeah Dog, take it away. Aloha.